Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. Listen, I'm excited all the time when I see y'all. And happy Mercury Cazimi. I did a little, we talked about that yesterday. If you didn't see yesterday's live stream, talked a little bit about what you can expect today with the Cazimi. I really love this Cazimi. It's in its inferior, you know what? I talked about it yesterday. And so take a look at that, but it's a good one. It's a good one. I really like it. And as you know, Mercury is still retrograde. That would explain a lot of things. If you noticed that I had the dates wrong with the actual days of in the post, as well as couple other things. So thank you for catching that. But I hope everyone's doing well. I hope y'all are having a great day. It's Thursday, July 31st. And today we're going to talk about some big things coming up. All right. So as you know, we're moving into August tomorrow, and we're locked and loaded. We're in August. I hope you saw your forecast for August. August is a month. Yeah, we've talked about this. It's a little, it's good though. You're going to see, remember, there's so many great stuff happening, but what we're doing from yesterday's live stream, today's live stream, just talk about some of the challenging aspects that are in the first 2 weeks. And today we're going to focus on the full moon in Aquarius, which I love. I love this full moon, but it is part of that bonkers weekend that I told you about. And remember, I called it a long weekend. Yeah. When you think about what's happening on Monday as well. So remember, there's a lot of martial energy around that full moon. And I'm so happy to have a guest that I've had on my channel before. He talked about rising signs. And I know I've had a lot of new subscribers since then. So I left the link in the community post, but I'll leave it again in the description box. But S.J. Anderson is here. I'm really excited to have him back on this channel. He's going to walk us through. There's S.J. Great to see you, S.J. He's going to walk us through the full moon that's going to take place on August 9th. But I just wanted to make sure that you had a preview of what you could expect and how you can handle the energies, because remember, everyone's going to feel the full moon differently. And he will talk about all the, Mars moving into Libra, and then all the Mars aspects that you can expect around that time. And remember, there's a lot. And remember, Mars is actually leaving Virgo very soon. And so SJ is going to talk about all of that, but I'm going to give him the floor. SJ, welcome back. And if you can introduce yourself to and reintroduce yourself to everyone here, some that may have booked readings with you last time. SJ, so great to have you.
Very great to be with you, Jimmy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to almost August. We're here in what is about to be one of the most dynamic little pockets of astrology this year. I'm viewing August and September as kind of a 1-2 moment. I don't want to say punch because we got to keep it positive. I love that little image, Jimmy, you have back there in your screen, which was we got to find the positive, something like that. But this is a double kind of activation here in late summer 2025 because we have the eclipses in September after this month. But we'll set that aside for now. I just want you to know, this sense of heightened intensity may be lasting here a little bit longer than just the pocket we're looking at. And it's going to be good to just keep that in mind. I love astrology because it prepares us mentally and psychically for what we're going to go through, at least at the symbolic layer. And very often that has direct matches with our lives and the unfoldment in our lives. But I'm an astrologer. I've been an astrologer professionally for a few years. I have a YouTube channel here. So I'm a working consulting astrologer where I see people regularly and talking about their lives. And then I work as a astrological commentator, you might say, as like a subfield of astrology. And those are those of us that are publishing and talking and writing and sharing about astrology. And not every astrologer is that. And not every astrologer consults with people. So we all kind of have different shades of what we accentuate. But you can find me here on YouTube, Jimmy. I'm sure we'll link all that. So here today, I'm going to talk with you about, where we are now. I want to try to contextualize that a little bit. I want to walk us through the series of events in a certain way that is going to lead to this peak of intensification that the full moon often is. Full moons are always peaks. This one is uniquely a peak because of some of the other planetary configurations that relate to it are themselves peaking within their cycles. And that would be one high level message here, everyone. First 10 days of August, strap in and get ready for your world to maybe climax into the changes that have been extant for you, really starting in late May with Saturn's ingress into Aries. And then we had a series of transits, including Neptune entering Gemini in early July, Jupiter entering Cancer in June. All of that kind of peaks here as Mars will serve as a trigger. And that was, I think, the first thing I want to mention is that the 6th of August, Mars will enter the sign Libra. And I think for this introduction, the concept of Libra, the archetype of Libra, the energetic of Libra is one I want to ground us in here first, because that's what's going to be triggered as the central triggering node of Mars in Libra. And when we think about Libra, we think about things like relational agreements. So it's not just relationships, it's the rules that we commit to with other people. It's how we let our relationships function well by committing ourselves to obligations and by requiring others to commit to obligations to us. And so we fuse those commitments and agreements. That's why a lot of times law is associated with Libra, because that's what law is. It's written agreements that you sign and you bind yourself to a dynamic. And so when those go well, and when Libra's operating really well, we have a great flow, right? You can trust the people that are around you. It's clear the boundaries of what you're obligated to, what they're obligated to. And then there's a flow or a synergy of workability with our relationships. So we love Libra for that.
Yeah.
Jimmy, come on in here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna, I love the way that you expressed that. And I love Carrie. Great. I love that you said that. I always say it's a little squeeze, and it isn't, to add to what SJ was saying. The great thing about this, there are always, I say, higher expressions, lower expressions for aspects, transits, and SJ can talk about this a little bit more. But Libra is ruled by Venus natively, and she's always seeking harmony and peace and diplomacy. So it's very interesting when her cosmic lovebird, like her complete opposite. When we talk about polarities, when Mars is in her sign, things are a little, funky. So it is, it's going to be an interesting Mars in Libra. I always see the good in everything, and that everybody knows that. But I do tell you when we get to those lower expressions, and of course, SJ will talk more about that as well, and maybe even the air trine that we're going to move into, like right off the bat when Mars moves into Libra.
Yeah, and I mean that's precise there, Jimmy, with the idea that there is a continuum of expression with every symbol, and sometimes we want to articulate both sides of that continuum. Sometimes we focus on maybe just the good stuff as a starting point, which is what I like to do. And so, yeah, let's come into Mars and Libra. The thing about Mars hitting Libra is that Mars in technical astrology, and I'll minimize this, but is said to be in detriment or exiled in Libra because it's opposite Aries, the sign that Mars rules. And so it's basically opposite as nature is one way to think about it. Another way I like to think about this is that the nature of Mars is breakage, and it is fervor and passion to break forth into new worlds. That's what Mars is. The nature of Venus is to unify and to bring people together. And it's more of a energy of stasis and celebration and saturating in pleasure rather than breaking free into something new. And so that's the inherent tension in Libra, which is a Venus ruled sign. And then having Mars coming to Libra is that there's opposites there. There's tensions built into the symbolic expression. And so, yes, that's one thing I would say right out of the gate here, everyone. I mean, 6 August, Mars enters Libra. And Mars will be having to filter through the Libran, meaning that desire to break free into new action and new passion and new fervor has to be constrained against what I was talking about earlier, the agreements you've made, the rules that you're operating in. And so as we think about maybe some of the tense sides of this here, 6 August, Mars enters Libra. 9 August, Mars will perfect an opposition to Saturn and Aries. And that triggers the Saturn and Aries stories. but we have to give ourselves over to constraint. This is the way we can kind of jujitsu the tension potentially. We just say, all right, this is just my constraint right now. My Mars has to be, hemmed in because we've made these other agreements. We restrict our action in service of other commitments we've already made or that have been made to us. And so it's a way to use the Mars in Libra to let it define the action or delimit the potential of the action, even if it's a little frustrating. And sometimes we need to be frustrated. If Mars was just running rampant, doing whatever it wanted to at all times, that's not a world that would function very well, right? Everybody's just off on their own trip, ignoring others. The Libran allows us to consider other people, and that's the beauty of it. And with Saturn also ruling Libra by exaltation, you're talking about the deep layers of those commitments and maybe more long-term thinking. What's good for the relationship in the long term?
Absolutely. I love the way that you said that. And Mars has been a little bit, like I say, he's been a little naughty. We know that. We know Mars and his retrograde, and just being in Cancer for the first half of the year. I feel like some people need to actually kind of like reconnect with Mars in a way where it's just like, okay, what we need you back, Mars. And I know that he was S.J was talking about September, the eclipses, and yeah, that's a whole other thing. Even when we get to October, I mean, like Mars is definitely gonna just wait until he moves into Scorpio. But for now, Mars and Libra, very interesting when we build up to that bonkers weekend, right? Which is going to be, as SJ said, Mars is going to be opposite Saturn. And there you've got the two malefics right there, and as well as Neptune. And it's happening right at the same time as the full moon in Aquarius, which again, I absolutely love. And I want you to, let that part shine. And it's a thing. This is one of those weekends where you could have a 3-4 hour talk on. There is so much happening. Mars trining Pluto, Mars sextile Uranus, and even when we come out of that, remember Mercury is going retrograde, and Mercury and Mars are kind of in the driver's seat for a little bit. So it's really just kind of acclimating with this new energy with Mars moving into Libra. But I'm gonna let SJ talk about what you can expect for the weekend, especially with Mars opposite Saturn, Neptune, full moon, all of that. It's a lot.
Yeah, and just coming back in here then to the idea of Saturn and Aries and what will happen with Mars triggering Saturn and Aries. First of all, I just want to say Mars is a trigger. Mars is a trigger wherever it is. It's forcing the planets that it interacts with to get into more of an active phase. Now in Libra, we're acting through these relational commitments. But it's not just Mars opposing Saturn, as Jimmy says. It is Mars activating the other outer planets that are the defining signature of our reality right now. And this is a defining signature that's a little wider in scope, and it's called a minor grand trine, but effectively it's Uranus and Gemini, Neptune and Aries, and Pluto and Aquarius, all very closely aspecting each other through trines and sextiles. That's all I'm going to really say here. But when Mars is in early Libra, it is hitting Uranus and Gemini by a trine. It is hitting Pluto and Aquarius by a trine. It is hitting Neptune and Aries by an opposition. So, that's the complexity of these layers. And let me just say something briefly on, go ahead, Jimmy, come on in. Yeah.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that everybody knows that I've been calling that, I've given it a name. I'm calling it the Prism Portal. So everyone, he's referring to the Prism Portal, where it's years long. But again, yes, it's these undercurrents, but Mars is really bringing up some of that energy. And then there are some other aspects this month, but yes, SJ. So
yeah, and I've given it a name too for a few years now. I've been calling it the basket because it is what we're going to land in. And it's actually next summer in July on the 15th, where Uranus and Neptune perfect a sextile. That's the moment Uranus and Neptune perfect a sextile. Later in July next year, Jupiter will perfect the opposition to Pluto. So it's July next year where this starts shifting away and these aspects start separating. But until then, we're really building to a peak of a prism portal, a basket. It's really one of the greatest opportunities of our lifetime, or of really any lifetime. Certain astrologers compare this to something that happened in 500 AD, that's how rare it is. So we're living in the time, and this relates to the full moon. I think this full moon triggering these larger portal energies means that this week, as Mars enters Libra 6 August and building into that full moon moment 9 August, pay attention, everyone, to everything. I mean, even the outer world, the news. I mean, we're all holding out for divine intervention at many layers. We need it collectively. We need these kind of divine forces, the so-called white hats, to intervene here and help humanity lurch ahead into this new era we're entering into, which has so much beauty in terms of its potentiality. And I think this little weekend snapshot full moon Mars opposite Saturn is like a trigger gateway into some of those larger energies.
Absolutely. I'm really glad that you mentioned that. And that's a perfect segue for me to mention Great Awakener, the website that Uranus on my ascendant has decided to hold off for a little bit. We'll be very ready soon. It'll be ready very soon, really soon. But that's where we're going to be discussing a lot more of just a little bit of what SJ was mentioning. And just to add on real quickly to what SJ was saying, and I said this in your August forecast, a lot of these aspects, remember, everything he said, Uranus and Gemini, that's been 84 years, right? That's and Neptune and Aries, 164 years. Pluto and Aquarius, 250 years. These are, and then the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries, that's only 7 times, and these are so rare. And that's why when SJ says really pay attention, yes, please pay attention to August, because we're all moving into these new energies that nobody living alive has really experienced. So it's really exciting and it's very thrilling. But there are the Mars Saturn oppositions, the Venus squares, things like that, just to keep an eye out for. But remember, there's always something you're going to learn from those moments. Okay.
Yeah, and so if we just come back into, that's the larger picture of these outer world transits. Each of those cycles, Uranus and Gemini, Neptune and Aries, Pluto and Aquarius, have their own rich cycle work that we've done a lot of work on us astrologers. And I won't go into really much of that, but just know new tech is a big part of it. Pluto and Aquarius, Uranus and Gemini, that air trine between those two planets are a big part of how in our reality we say technology accelerating very fast. Even to get to talk to you today, everyone here through a live stream all over the world, we're connecting in real time. My thoughts, my words into your ears in like instant. I mean, that's so profound. That alone is just as an example. But AI is accelerating very, very fast. But if we come back into the Mars-Saturn opposition, and I want to come back there because this full moon in Aquarius on the 9th is in the sign of Aquarius. Traditional rulership tells us Saturn is what we have to look to. And so built into that peaking full moon moment is the Saturn in Aries moment, because Saturn rules Aquarius. And this is a fundamental principle of astrology, which is that rulers of signs are how we understand how a sign is functioning at a given instant of the ephemeris. And so I think that I want to just talk a little bit more about that, and then we can maybe shift into some of our sign-based horoscopes here. But Saturn in Aries is breaking the traditional. Saturn is conservative tradition. As it comes to Aries, it shatters open through the new profound power of Aries and breaks out what Saturn has brought into the Aries moment. That started on 25 May. And so now we've got Mars triggering in Libra. And it's a time to, I think, check in with the obligations we want to make, the new worlds we're in, and what new agreements do you want to make with people? What boundaries aren't serving you? And what are the kind of new boundaries or new agreements that you're here to make? And I'm saying that's not always easy. I mean, that's hard if you have to tell someone, hey, it's not working. This boundary doesn't work. I need this boundary. These are the kinds of negotiation tensions that might be built in here as you peek into this full moon, where you have to tell people no, you have to assert your needs and honestly express, who you are and why you're here and what you want. And that's where that Venus, Jupiter, and Cancer energy can assist. And I won't say that because I know you guys talked about that yesterday, but that's very much about our emotional truth and honoring the authenticity of our inner worlds. And we've got to bring that here into this, cardinal activation. Remember, cardinal signs, Cancer, Libra, Aries, are newness. It's initiating new things. And that's why I'm so focused here on the tensions being about what we can initiate because of those tensions. What do we learn from the suffering? What can we create to prevent these types of sufferings from happening again. I mean, and pain is a great motivator, and it's without it, we don't know even where to rebuild or what to build anew. So use the tension and be thinking about what can you make in terms of new agreements with that are more authentic. Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I love that you said that. And we didn't really talk about the Venus Jupiter conjunction yesterday, but y'all, I'm gonna be working on your forecast. I know it's like deja vu. I said this yesterday. I didn't have time yesterday. That's just Uranus on my ascendant, Mercury retrograde. I will today. They will be there next week, but it really is Venus conjuncting Jupiter and Cancer. And then, I told you that I'm throwing in Sirius too, the fixed star. That's what SJ is referring to. So there's something major, amazing happening when we get to August 12th, when you get through these, strong aspects. So, and what he said about pain, and Christian even talked about that yesterday as well. There's again, these aspects are challenging, and some of them are just it's how you handle them, how you respond to them. So I'm going to let SJ, if you want to talk a little bit about just kind of like that overall weekend with the full moon, and then let's go by sign and let's tell every sign what they can expect and upcoming for even starting. I mean, this is going to be a strong Mars Saturn Neptune opposition, so just start expecting to feel the energy soon, everybody. But yeah, I'll give SJ the floor.
Yeah, and that's what I would say is that Mars, different ways to calculate aspects and do aspects in astrology, but that entry of Mars on the 6th, I think, is really when the tension may ratchet up. And so you want to pay attention on the 6th because immediately from that moment, Mars will be applying to make this opposition to Saturn by certain theories of aspects. What I would say too, and to just echo Jimmy, it's the aftermath of this full moon where you have Mercury stationing direct on the 11th of August. That clears blocks and gives us some forward movement, and then you have the Venus Jupiter perfecting the conjunction on 12th of August. During this full moon, and as we have this talk today, by the way, everybody, happy Venus in Cancer has just entered Cancer within the last few hours. So we're here with what we call co-presence in astrology, and that's where two planets are in the same sign and they're blending. They're beginning to blend. The peaks and can sometimes be timed to that perfected aspect, which will be the 12th of August after the full moon. But we have this blended Venus-Jupiter energy even now. And so I would encourage you to think about the authenticity now and then even into the full moon moment as a kind of saving grace. These are your protective tools to ride out these tensions, which is, who can you nurture? How do you need to be nurtured? Getting clear with that and then celebrating the love in your life and the beauty. And sometimes that's all we can do. If the world is gyrative and we're getting shaken up, it's like, all right, well, I've got this beautiful meal that I've just cooked for my beloved or for my children. And that's a way to kind of nest and settle as a kind of ace in the hole that you can play to ride out these very dramatic moments. I will say the other thing about this full moon chart, we're thinking about here what we call in astrology the masculine axis or the masculine signs. And Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius, and Mars in Libra. These are all what we call masculine signs, which is our outer world focus in astrology. And so to have maybe renegotiations in these outer world agreements that we've made, meaning things like work and what you're involved in your careers and the people that you're more professionally or socially engaged in, that's a theme that I would remind you of here as a location for potential tension. And remember, I say that just not to scare anybody, but tension is good. I mean, you have to shake things up fresh because things get stayed and entropy hits things. And Mars allows us to refresh, even if it means tension and drama.
Yeah, and I think that I mentioned something along the lines yesterday. I forgot I forgot what sign it was. But I think I said something along the lines as like, you sometimes need heartbreak to know how to heal. And I feel like there's got to be a lot of interactions you may have with a lot of loved ones and family, friends, colleagues. There really is. It is one of those bonkers month where there's a lot happening. So it's just breaking it down, even as I work on your weekly forecast when we kick it off with Mercury going direct. And that is going to be a really big moment, as SJ said. So it is that full moon that we want to keep an eye on. And I maybe I'll say it here because then I won't have to say in your weekly forecast. But yeah, there's a bigger Aquarius story that will be playing out, as well as the Leo story that I mentioned yesterday that you've been experiencing since June with Mercury and Leo, Sun and Leo, new moon and Leo, going all the way back to, last December with Mars and Leo for that hot second, Mars going, retrograde in Leo. And so the fact that the South Node is moving into Leo next year, North Node and Aquarius, but again, there's just so many other bigger things that I'll wait on that, but just pay attention is all I'm saying. Just this is going to be a big weekend, August 8th to the 10th with that full moon.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm happy if you want to start getting sign by sign here. I'm just trying to think if there's any other thoughts. I would just say maybe at the outset, the Aquarius archetype, because that's where the full moon is. And, we're thinking here about innovative new worlds, new agreements in the outer world again, but that are around innovation. That's what Aquarius is. So, anything in your life that's been new this year, particularly with Saturn changing signs. Pluto entered Aquarius for good last November. How are you engaging? I mean, immediately I want to ask you guys, how are you engaging with the new tech? I mean, are you feeling into that? Is that something that you're kind of pushing out and kind of waiting to see, is it going to be a positive or a negative? How are you interfacing with your social media landscape? Is that something that's a healthy diet for you? Or, I think this is a great time to just like do a tech inventory and an upgrade with how we relate to technology in our lives. And I think the beauty of the Aquarian is it allows for like a yin yang. It's so innovative and high tech that then you have the seed built in of the Leo, which is the opposite sign, which is the true self in a way. And so it's a great way to just be thinking about where is your humanity? Where is your selfhood in these new worlds that we live in technologically?
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think I said yesterday I wanted to hear from Gemini's and what you've been experiencing with Uranus and your sign. I mean, it's pretty clear. I've made it very clear, almost like cry for help clear. I have Uranus on my ascendant and I've had it for a month. And it's just been very interesting because I am an Aquarius and, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And there's this, and this is why, getting your birth chart done is going to be, it's always really great. It opens so many layers for you, peels back so many layers. You see so many things that are relevant that's happening for you specifically. And that's why in your forecast for your sign, I always say, well, I bring up degrees and I try to make it a little bit more specific to you so everyone can see how the aspects and transits, everything I talk about is going to impact you personally. But this is a great a reason to get like a birth chart reading. And SJ, like I said, is just phenomenal when it comes to chart readings, and he is the first astrologer I had as a guest on my channel. But it's the same thing with the fact that I am an Aquarius. We got Pluto in Aquarius right now, so I'm clearly feeling that by a whole sun, but it's going to be on my sun in a few years. So just knowing that, like, you can prepare like 2 years in advance of or even just have an idea of the direction that you may be going on your path right now, right? So just throwing that out there, little pitch for for SJ as well. But yeah, as he said, it is all, Aquarius is the humanitarian. There's this is I really feel that everyone's going to feel moved to some degree, and even just pay attention to those tiny things that may happen that we're going to tell you in your forecast for every sign. Okay. And he even brought up technology in this entire month with Uranus on my ascendant and connecting with my sun in Aquarius and my Venus in Aquarius, all of that. I have learned a lot about technology, and I have seen a lot that technology can do that I don't think people know. And that's why my side is taking a little bit longer, because I'm going to introduce you to some things that's like, whoa, I didn't even know this could exist. So it's got to be really fun. But let's go ahead and break down for every sign. SJ, if you want to start with let's Brad, if we can. I think we had the spelling for Aries wrong. but I think that we know that Mercury's retrograde, y'all. So I'm going to repeat that every time that there's something, even if I say something or SJ says something, I'm going, hey, Mercury's retrograde, y'all. And we do have the Cazimi today. So yeah, I think that we can start with Aries. Yeah. And again, watch for your rising, your moon, your sun, for your sister, your mother, your brother, your girlfriend, your, pet, Smurf, whatever you got, whoever you want to, okay? Because that kind of makes a lot of sense. And when I don't know if this is the same for SJ, but sometimes you do want to, when I work with someone, I like to know their chart. If I'm hiring someone, I like to have a little bit of idea of how this is going to work out. So astrology just fits naturally in everything that you do. FYI, plug to astrology. Shout out to astrology. All right, there we go. Brad and SJ, Aries. You want to start with Aries?
I mean, how easy is it to start with another sign? Could it be easily done, or do you just, because maybe I should pull back on that. Sometimes I like to start with signs because you always start with Aries, and so these other signs never get love. I kind of like to start with Aquarius, and that way we work through.
I love that you said that, and I do that in my readings too. I don't start with Aries every week. I will start with a different sign, and love it. Well, let's start with Aquarius.
Okay, beautiful. Thanks for audibling there with me, because I think anyhow, shout out to you, Aquarius folks. Yeah, so let me just gonna riff here a couple of minutes, and then we'll do some tarot with Jimmy, and we'll kind of give you a heads up here. Look, for Aquarius, my sense is that this is very much about a spiritual opening for you, and it's about coming to understand yourself, why you're here, who you are, what your identity is, against the backdrop of maybe new breakthroughs in how you want to work with concepts of God or practices in your day-to-day life spiritually. And sometimes that's difficult if you're having to let go of an old technology, like a certain form of meditation that's just not going to work anymore, or a certain concept of God that you might want to tweak or have upgraded because you got new information. Maybe you're listening to new podcasts or reading books, and you're having breakthroughs around how you understand God as as you define God, even within your own religion. Sometimes there's new theorists within like a certain Catholic, and you have a new Catholic sanctioned theory of God that can maybe help unlock something for you. So I'm really focused on that for you, this kind of spiritual renewal through maybe the tension of what you're bringing into this moment. I think what I would really offer as a saving grace here is that gotta focus on the health right now and what is nourishing physically for you. Because sometimes if we're having like a dark night of the soul, it's good to have that blanket, that warm blanket, that water, that chicken soup, maybe even just making sure you're getting your nutrients. Because if it's too intense spiritually or too intense in terms of an identity search, we can lose sight sometimes of the bodily needs and the day-to-day requirements to give us that sustenance. So that's my Aquarius horoscope, Jimmy. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. With Mars opposite Saturn, Mars trine Pluto, what that is going to be, because that's kind of like more of like an undercurrent that weekend, Pluto being in Aquarius. But with Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune, I just feel like that's really calling to me in Aquarius. And SJ knows this, there's a lot more. There's, even with Saturn sextile Uranus, which I'll talk about later in your forecast, but those are Aquarius's rulers. I feel like Aquarius, you've had some chill out time the past few months. And now and I think that you're ready. And I think you're gonna, again, out of all the signs that are gonna feel really just moved to do something. And I feel like there's going to be this spark. And as you know, with full moons, they always illuminate, right? So I feel like there's also a sense of, self-discovery. But I really love this full moon. But just remember, there's that rebellious side of you. I want to see it, I really want to see it. So I am going to be using the Aquarius deck. We love David Palladini's artwork. And just, let's see what's going on for Aquarius for this full moon in your sign with everything else that's happening. And so Aquarius, Yeah. You know what's really interesting, and I think that I don't know if S.J touched upon this, but just real quickly, the other thing I was going to say, like the fact that we are in Leo season, he did talk about this. That would be your opposite side, and I said pay attention to Aquarius and Leo, Aquarius, Leo. Um, that would be again your seventh house of partnerships and relationships. It's just so amplified with Mars and Libra, right? That represents that. But you did get the Ace of Swords, so this is a big, big full moon for you, because it seems like you're already having that wake up call. You're already having this sense of power, and there's so many new things already happening in your life. And I feel that you're seeing that. I've been saying out with the old, in with the new for months now. And I feel like this is your big moment with the full moon in your sign. And that's just indicating, yeah, a lot of y'all are already entering this powerful new period where maybe there's something, a contract that you have signed, or as Jay said, that's a big theme for the month. Or maybe there's something new that you're thinking, but there's this huge breakthrough that you're going through, mental breakthrough as well, especially with Uranus and Gemini. That would be very relevant as well. You have the Two of Cups. Look at you, Aquarius. Talk about relationships, talk about, and it really is more about opening yourself up. Okay, coming after that Ace of Swords, it starts up here, right? And Aquarius, you are an air side. You're up here. I can relate. I'm an Aquarius as well, Team Aquarius. So it starts with that Ace of Swords. That really helps opening yourself up to others, up to the idea of others, sharing yourself with others. Okay, whether it is in a relationship or again, like I said, it could be a family, a friend. It could be a colleague, whatever's there for you. These are very new beginning cards. And then you have that Knight of Swords. So great. The knights are on a mission. You're ready to go. You're ready to move with this. So really great full moon for you that does start with having that clarity. There's this, let's get through that fog, and Neptune's retrograde anyway, so as well as a million other planets. So yeah, like I said, it's your time, and there's just something really big for you with this full moon that is special with some others involved.
And just, I love that the swords being the air element, and in some correspondence traditions, and the idea of that full moon in your first house, Aquarius. What are the breakthroughs of the mind that are going to kind of lead you into this next period? I love that sword of the ace, the new idea, and then the knight, where you're kind of going on a mission now with that new idea triggering. So beautiful, beautiful for Aquarius risings. Because remember that grand air trine, we didn't talk about it in those terms, but Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, Mars in Libra. There is a grand air trine, and that is of the ideas and technology. We often think is, oh, it's this thing, it's only AI. No, technology is a mentality of what's fresh and new in your world that you can implement and adopt, because it's a new concept. Sometimes it's only an idea. It doesn't have to be anything tangible. So beautiful for a reading there. And I won't do this for everyone, but I feel like I had to jump in on Aquarius there, because those cards were so cool, man. Wow, good for you, Aquarius.
I loved it. I loved it.
Cool.
All right.
Shall we?
Pisces. Or do you want to go to Pisces?
Yeah, should we shift to Pisces, or what do you think?
Yeah. Let's go for it. Let's go for my secret crutch, Pisces.
Okay, beautiful. So my sense of the full moon astrological for Pisces, this might be a step back moment for you. I would really consider getting into your castle mentality and maybe just pulling back this weekend. I mean, we know it's intense energy, Mars opposite Saturn. This full moon is going to be 12th house, so in the 12th sign from Pisces. And yeah, I think there's a financial component as well. I mean, you might want to step back and do some budgeting. You may want to just get granular on expenses. You may want to see if there's ways you can maybe cut back as a way to help propel you forward, reaching your goals. Sometimes you just do some refined cutting back and you unlock certain amounts of money or resources, even if it's just time to put into kind of your true endeavor. But this would be a weekend where I would say, yeah, step back, the final Mercury retrograde weekend, and just chill out. And maybe if you're going to have some tension around like the time and energy that's available, I would consider preparing for that now. You might want to overcommit. You might not want to promise things you can't do during that weekend, because you might be pulled resource wise and energy wise. If you do overcommit, the only other thing I would say to focus on could be children or your creative powers. And that's beautiful. Sometimes when we go back into our cave or castle, we can kind of unlock that inner voice of intuition and that creative impulse. And so that's what I would do. I would just step back and get into your creative impulse and see what you can do this week and what kind of breakthroughs you might have.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I mentioned yesterday that when I was channeling, I felt like Pisces, like there was just this energy of just unexpected, like you really felt Uranus, but it almost felt like there were more jolting moments, like, okay, how do I pivot around this? And I feel like this full moon is going to be very, very spiritual for you, but also we're talking life purpose, big moments of spiritual growth and awakening. And I feel like there's going to be a really big shift for you around this full moon, and you're going to feel it play out. You could start feeling it now. And there's some big, I don't want to say awakening, but there's just something that, like I said yesterday, something that you needed to see, like you'll see. And I feel like even with just what's happening for you astrologically and everything that SJ said, I think this is going to be a really great full moon for you in terms of I'm going to talk about this in your weekly forecast, but the North Node is in your sign too. And there's going to be some really great alignments that I'm just really excited for you, but use this full moon to really connect spiritually. Like, don't be afraid to go deep. And I'm going to use the Tempest deck for you. Okay. Inspired by the fact that you are a water sign. And you are a really fun one. Have y'all moved yet? I always say that in the Pisces readings. A lot of you are moving. That's the other thing. If you haven't moved, all right. So let's see. Okay. Once again, I do this up. Oh, wow. Okay. So you got the Two of Pentacles. Which again, there's what I said earlier, maybe some a little bit like uncertainty or like, where do I go? Which way? Like, there's got to be some clarity that comes through soon because you did get strength, which is really great. Strength in tarot is attributed to Leo. So again, I really love the Cazimi for you today. It's just, again, like I said yesterday, there's got to be like every day from this moment forward until you get to the Mercury going direct, there's just something you're going to learn, even if it's like baby steps, and you go straight to the Wheel of Fortune. Who are you, Pisces? Come on, look at that. And I feel like, just the fact that we do have that Venus Jupiter conjunction that we're leading up to as well, this is big, right? Wheel of Fortune attributed to Jupiter, but you know that it's a 10 as well when 0 equals 1. There's this new beginning. Like I mentioned just a minute ago, you have the North Node in your sign. So, with the Wheel of Fortune, it's just something faded, and it just feels like this gateway that you're moving into. But you really need to see that one thing that I've been saying. It's just there. There's something you need to see, and it's a shift that I feel for you. But this is actually really amazing. So take that time with this full moon to have some insight and downloads on what is that shift, and feel with a strength card, that courage, feel empowered. But with full moons, which is about letting go, same thing with a strength card, like recognizing parts of you that you're just like, I don't want to bring this into this new world of mine, right? And you're just making room for that Wheel of Fortune energy that is really exciting. That's amazing. And I'm sure that SJ is going to say Jupiter is the rule. Jupiter.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself. I was just going to say, yeah, I finished my horoscope by saying, hey, come back to that creativity, because Jupiter's in Cancer, the fifth sign from Pisces. And then you get Jupiter as the third card in Jimmy's pull, meaning the Wheel of Fortune. And I just would really encourage you, and it's children, it could be children too. I mean, that's our fortune, right? The people are children, the abundance of family, the abundance, that's all that Jupiter and Cancer energy. So if it's more that for you, that's great. If you're a painter or a novelist, get into your writing room and get into your studio,
Yeah, really strong creative energy right now, even with all that Leo energy too. Yeah. So I just feel like everyone is being called to really connect. And I've talked about that before, how it is that creativity, it's that compassion, it's all of that. That's a divination, right? That makes it's divine, and that's what we're here for, right? So really amazing. SJ, all right, I'm gonna let you steer the tarot ship here. I've never said that
Well, let's.
before.
I like it. Let's flip. I'm happy to just be here with everybody today and be doing these horoscopes. By the way, thanks for having me on, Jimmy. Jimmy, I really appreciate it. It's a honor to be with you. It's a fun way to engage in astrology, just kind of getting some short horoscopes, and sometimes that's best because you're not overwhelmed. And so I hope that people can get their message and something clear is coming through for you all. And okay, shall we shift to Aries? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Okay, let's do it. Aries. Wow. Big one for you with your relationships. That's my main message for you, because Mars will be in Libra. And this could be something where maybe a relationship, if something goes haywire, there's a tension or maybe a dispute of some kind. Normal in relationships to have disputes, okay? And so I wouldn't be afraid of it, but being prepared to have to engage with the other in your world, and maybe having to honor who you're becoming with Saturn and Aries. I mean, you've probably got a new sense of a new foundation or a new way to structure your identity here this summer. Now Mars comes to Libra to put you in a situation to practice what you've been building or becoming. And that's one way to view transits often. It's so beautiful that they create conditions for us to practice the changes that we've been working with and working through. So the thing with the full moon in Aquarius is that you might have new groups that you've joined or people that you're connected to in a larger way. And that might help you process these more individualized forms of exchange or tension. You know, there's nothing like going to the larger group. Like, let's say there's a problem with one person, you can defer to like the rules of the group or the white paper or the bylaws of a group to try to ground whatever tension is emerging in some kind of more formalized structures. And so I would think about that as a primary thing. And then with let's see here, with the fourth house being so accentuated with the Venus Jupiter energy, you know, again, rooting into your home space, and maybe you're going to redesign something or have breakthroughs around how your home can receive you. And sometimes that's good. If there's outer world drama with people, just come back home. You got your cats, your dogs. Maybe you'll, relax in with those, homey situations to support you. But just to summarize, really got to be thinking about intimacy and the other and the people that you're dancing with right now this summer closely for some kind of new trigger or change.
Oh, I love that. No, it's perfect. It's perfectly aligned with what I was just going to add real quickly, is that while you were speaking, I was called to mind the eclipse that hadn't happened in Aries at the end of March. And I just remember, like, Aries, you've been on this wave. You had Saturn move into your sign. You had Neptune move into your sign. There's been a lot that you've been, surfing. So good for you, because you are going through some transformative moments. But I feel like there is going to be something around this full moon that, yes, like SJ said, I think there's just something with relationships or how you perceive your relationships with other people. But I honestly, for this full moon, with everything that's happening this weekend, I want you to just try to have some fun too. I want you to have some fun moments, and I really want you to spend some time thinking about where, like I said, and I say this, and I know it's in every forecast, really spend some time thinking about where you want to be like a month from now, 2 months from now. But I think that your transformation comes from your relationship with other people right now. So let's do it. Let's and I'm back to the Aquarian deck. Oh, you got a little jumper, and I'm gonna use that as and I always use those as a little clarify the spread to see that extra what the universe want to tell Aries. All right, so Aries, let's I love oh yeah, we got the spelling right. I love that. Okay, so oh wow, what is going on here? This is a little, Yeah, and you saw me shuffle. Okay. Well, you got the 10 of Cups. Yeah. And so a lot that's kind of calling back to what SJ was saying with this 10 of Cups energy that I really love. And with the North Node in your 12th, like it just makes sense too. But there's so much joy here and happiness here. And that's why I think that I like that full just this weekend. I want you to have fun and I want you to feel that joy. Okay. There is a lot of joy that exists in the 10 of Cups. And with the 2 of Cups following it, come on, I feel like full moons are just very emotional as it is, but there's some feel good emotions that's happening here. And when SJ was talking about partnerships, I mean, you can't get more partnershipy than the 2 of Cups, right? So I feel like there's this almost rebirth energy. And again, it can be with your lover, your husband, a friend, best friend, even colleague. Y'all got some work stuff happening, but this is just something's possibly very emotionally moving for you, and then it just switches something up here with the Knight of Swords. Very interesting with that. Those are the last 2 cards that came up for the Aquarius as well, but I've always talked about how Aries and Aquarius do have some similarities, especially these energies that you're going to feel now. Oh, 9 of Swords is the one that popped out. Okay. So, like I said, I want you to have some fun. I don't want you to overthink things, overanalyze things. There are going to be things that do come up over the weekend with Mars and Saturn, Mars and Neptune. You got a lot happening. The full moon in Aquarius illuminating things, but don't be hard on yourself. And there really is, with that 9 of Swords showing up, there really is something here there's someone else involved. And so when I say have fun, that can even include doing any sort of energy work where something's not haunting you, right? And doing something where, look at this, right? So I feel like there's this great opportunity to clear the mind, go to the heart. You have Venus in Cancer. You have a lot of great things that SJ talked about. So I really love this. And it's with that the Knight of Swords. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of just freeing your mind too, but there's something that's just freeing you when you can just really connect emotionally. I'm loving this, but pay attention to that 9 of Swords. Okay. Let's not be in that situation and address the things that are taking up too much headspace. Dumb.
Yeah, and again, we got that air element accentuation, and that's a big theme for everyone right now is the air element. For Aries, it's these relationship sectors for you. So, I think beauty of doing tarot and astrology together, isn't it? Because you get the synchronistic activation with the poles that confirm and kind of interact and help us clarify the horoscopic. And so just, beware Aries this weekend, bringing your boundaries. I think that Saturn in Aries is going to help you think about the protections and the boundaries, really, because healthy boundaries are important. We all have to, it's the struggle for healthy boundaries. And what an opportunity to get to practice some of that here in August for you. Really cool.
Nice. I think we're on Taurus.
Okay. Beautiful. Well, Taurus, maybe a sign that gets a little bit easier in some ways compared to some of the other signs. Right now, the fixed axis has a little less attention, you might say. And I would be very much interested in you coming into those Venus and Cancer powers of the 3rd house, which in our astrological systems is siblings or close relations or even routines of spiritual connection. These can be things like, hanging out in your neighborhood and going to your coffee shop or going to your gym, finding home, comfort, and safety in those regimented ways that you relate to your environment and those closer connections, your circle, your besties, your bros, the people that you are seeing regularly that, cheers, everybody knows your name. This is the kind of thing where you'll have great power in this moment with this full moon. I think there's a big career peak here as well, because the full moon in Aquarius is going to activate some of your career newness and the new innovative ways that you're engaging in that area of your chart and your life. And, frankly, I can see how this summer you may have been building into some new career victories, you might say, or taking on more with work, and it might become clear here just what you've been building to all summer around the word I'm looking for. It's not victories, it is victories in a way, but the obstacles, challenges that you've taken on from a career perspective, that this full moon might give you some breakthroughs around how to functionally implement the solutions. And so I think there's a big focus outside of that neighborhood kind of settlement and those interpersonal relationships, where you may be pulled into really, going after the big story of your career and the big kind of challenge and obstacle of this summer. Perfect full moon to have, some kind of new approach or a new, so Ace of Swords. I know he didn't pull that, but that idea of that symbolism, get that new sword to go into battle for your work and for your legacy and for whatever you're committed to right now. So, yeah.
No, that's really great. And you called it. I mean, that's everything that I was going to say for Taurus. And I do feel like this is a really big full moon, and just, again, days surrounding it, really good healing opportunity for you. I feel like there's a lot of y'all when it comes to career, and even just maybe even like the way that you want to be seen as a leader. I feel like there's a lot of like ripping off the Band-Aid. It's just something that's been coming through. I think I talked about that yesterday, but let's see what's going on for Taurus. Taurus, y'all crack me up. I'm using Tarot of the Divine for you. I felt that you really wanted this deck. Okay, so let's take a peek. Taurus, yeah, come on, you just can't. You can't with this. Well, you got the Fool. So again, here's your moment. You've got a moment. And like I said, I think in your last week's reading, in your August forecast, just the fact that you have Uranus out of your sign, that's a big, like, you need a standing ovation, right? You've had that for a couple years, but I love this. And you've been getting the Fool a lot in your spreads. So there really is something that a lot of y'all are moving into these. You're taking more risks. You're feeling more confident, and I love that. You're being more explorative. Knight of Cups, like, there you go with the Knight of Cups right there. I mean, I love this energy here with the Knight of Cups, because I think that we did. I will this week. I will talk about the North Node and how it's really activated this week, and even Juno is in the mix. But that Knight of Cups, go for it. What's going to fulfill you emotionally? That's your mission right here, right? And again, that spiritual energy that I was feeling, this healing moment around this time of the full moon, feels really strong. But here, just go get your cup filled. And yeah, there's a sense of partnership, relationship, love as well. But at the end of the day, and a lot of creative energy that exists with the Knight of Cups. Like, if you're an artist, if you do spiritual healing, art, or spirituality in your artwork or writing or anything like that, like, it's and I've even talked about the fact that I have so many friends that are Taurus that are doctors or therapists and whatnot, but you have the High Priestess is the reason why I'm spending some time there. Really great. You're really and I'm sure that I think that S.J may have said something earlier, but just the fact that you have Saturn and Neptune retrograde in Aries in your 12th. I mean, that's just, there you go. That Saturn even natively ruling your ninth. I mean, there's just, the High Priestess. Here's the thing. You're moving into a place where you're just becoming a lot more comfortable with your spiritual beliefs or your spirituality, or tapping into your spiritual side. And you've seen it as a theme in your readings the past few weeks. It has been coming up a lot. And so that's why I'm just like, okay, High Priestess again. That's amazing. So I really love this. Just take that time to really trust your intuition. Everything's inside. It's just a matter of connecting, right? So really love this full moon for you. And there's something empowering here too. Yeah,
that Priestess card is amazing because you're evoking inner knowing, and that's very lunar, and that's very much of the Taurian. And you're going to probably need it, because I can see this career focus, as we said earlier, where, sometimes we go into our careers and we can't say, hey, I'm like a witch, it doesn't work in the workplace. But I think for Taurus, you may be able to kind of get into like bifurcation where you know your deeper power and your deep intuitive magical rootedness, and then you kind of carry those powers into maybe environments that are more formal, and that's okay. Not everybody has to know all of your business, you know what I'm saying? But anyhow, even if you're in a place like Jimmy and I, we work in this field, we're like open with working with the esoteric. I think that's a big part of the approach here for you in August, no doubt, Taurus.
I love that. And I think that the week after the full moon, the moon will be in Taurus. And I think that it's going to have a really nice moment with Jupiter in Cancer. A really great moment. I'll talk about that in your weekly forecast. Okay, Taurus? All right. For everybody.
Yes.
Okay. Gemini.
So, hey, Gemini, what's going on? You've had a big summer, no doubt about it, with Uranus's entry there. Maybe shocking reveals. Jimmy, I think, mentioned earlier, pulling the Band-Aid off. I wonder how you've come into some of the identity sets or new ways of thinking about yourself. Venus just left Gemini, so there might have been even a more creative approach to identity that you're shifting out of now. My thing with you guys is the spiritual. Again, when I look at Gemini in this full moon, is that I think the techniques of spirituality are going to play a major role, and how those can be brought into whatever creative endeavors you're working on. If you have a creative block, and that could be a theme here, Mars and Libra, you might not be able to actualize as much as you have been in the earlier parts of the summer. The moon is in Aquarius, might allow you to have some kind of new invention, you might say, to help you kind of understand your true creative path. And Jimmy mentioned this earlier, but Mars is in Libra until the 22nd of September, and a lot of this full moon may be getting us in touch with some of how we're where we're blocked, what we're going to have to be modifying to adapt to the restrictions of our situation, that come 22nd September and beyond, we get to unleash it. And so I love this for you, Gemini, to thinking more about learning and ideas and new thinking about how to kind of adapt to blocked feelings, because I think you're going to be able to put that into play greatly later on in this year. Sometimes that's the best thing to do, is just stop and say, I need new information. Let me go get some new information as the approach to problem solving, especially when we're frustrated. And I would encourage you to do that. I mean, it's not just Uranus in Gemini, but it's this whole air sign accentuation that can unlock, through new facts and new learning, some kind of approach to how you're going to be generating in the reality. So that's my main message there for you.
No, I love that. And for Geminis, yeah, I think this full moon is a really great time to, I've been telling you, with Uranus now in your sign, you're going to have some like breakthroughs. You're going to have some breakdowns for breakthroughs. But with this full moon weekend, I do want you to take like a little bit of a break, right? And do exactly what SJ said and just kind of like absorb, his words, because I think there is going to be something really nicely illuminated for you. I think it would be a great time for you to even think about, I mean, y'all love traveling, just, think about planning a trip. And, even with this ninth house energy, even if you can't go anywhere, I always say like travel of the mind, like go to places you've never explored. I think that'll really do a lot for you. Just your mind is always overworked as a Gemini, obviously I can attest as a Gemini rising, but I think that this is going to be a really profound full moon for you if you take that time for it and to, receive the downloads that you need. All right. So let's see what's going on for Gemini. And thank you so much for all the super stickers, y'all. Y'all are amazing. Bonnie, thank you so much. Y'all, come on. That's we got an August 19th birthday. We're going to give you a shout out during there it is, August 19th. We got a Leo. We got so much, all this Leo energy that everyone's been feeling. We're getting an idea of all these Leos. All right. So, and how amazing they are. Gemini, let's pull some cards for you. I am going to use the Tempest deck. I feel like you wanted the Tempest. Okay, so oh yeah, and get excited for that Venus Jupiter conjunction. Oh, I've we're gonna go deep in your weekly forecast. All right, so yeah, yeah, okay. So Gemini, you like okay, so let's just you got strength. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Everything that I've said in your readings about this Leo energy, Leo is the heart, right? And so that's strength. Remember the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the woman with the infinity symbol over her head, and taming the lion, but there's that synergetic energy there. And when you break, it's all about that inner courage, right? But when you break down that word courage to its etymological root, it's core, it's KOR, which is heart. Okay, corazon. And so again, spend some time, just your mind overworked. Let's get back to the heart. It's that heart-based living. I want you to feel. Because you got the Two of Swords here. Very interesting, with all this Libra energy with Mars and Libra for you. Just take that time. I feel like there's just some things that need to come out. There's some things that let's not hold things in over this full moon. And again, have those downloads. Take your mind to places where they haven't been, because you got that 10 of Wands. And this is there's some weight to it. There's 10 of Wands. And 10 of Wands, it is attributed to, it's a third decan of Sagittarius. So we're looking at moon in Sagittarius here. So two things. A, it is a 10. All right. And this is just, you asking yourself, am I taking on too many responsibilities, other people's responsibilities? But very partnership, very one-on-one, because Sagittarius does rule your 7th house. And so just keep that in mind. There may be something here that, again, have those downloads so you can, unload here. And just don't be hard on yourself. And it's almost an echo from your spread yesterday. And use this full moon. There's so many things that can be illuminated, but take that pause. And I think, and you're going to appreciate it with, Uranus having been in your sign the past few weeks. And, I'll pull a little clarifier for you here, just to give you a little bit of what do we got? Yeah, there you go. 8 of Cups. All right. It's perfect. Coming after that 10 of Wands. There's just something empowering here that I'm feeling. But that 8 of Cups is just like, knowing that there's something better for you. And don't stop yourself. Okay. Don't tell yourself you're not good enough. Don't tell yourself, oh, don't distract yourself. Don't do any of that. But that 8 of Cups is saying, hey, you're set yourself free. And it may be even like a bittersweet moment, but at least you're using your heart. It's the 8 of Cups. The Cups is love and emotions and feelings. So really love the message here for you. And again, you are going to be moving toward that Venus Jupiter conjunction. So again, there's something really big waiting for you after this full moon. You just need those downloads. All right. SJ, anything you want to add to that?
No, I love it. And I love that you're highlighting, because I didn't come back to that, but the water element energy, particularly that Venus Jupiter energy, to me is something just to keep in mind for Gemini. There could be the material support that you have is a great boon here during this full moon. And so I love seeing the water cards there. And, I come back to 2 of Swords with that Mars and Libra, right in that 2 of Swords, to those 2 of Swords degrees, that it may be good to, again, working through creative block, using information is, I think it underscores that. And so it's a good place to be, when you have a block, there's actually an innovation that's trying to come through. And with Mars and Libra trining the Uranus and Gemini in your first, I can see there being some like big breakthrough with like a new approach that's going to unlock everything for you, Gemini, during this full moon. Quite exciting.
Yeah, and that 2 of Swords is attributed to Moon and Libra. So you got 2 moon cards with that 8 of Cups where you have an eclipse. So there's really something here just asking you to really pay attention to this full moon and take that time to just have those spiritual downloads. I feel like there's got to be a lot of things that you're going to connect with, and it raises your frequency anyway, and you're going to get those little winks from the universe. And don't be afraid to, because you're Geminis, you love speaking, don't be afraid to speak with the moon. I always say that. That's you putting energy out there into the ether. All right. So, all right. So who do we have next? It's
Cancer.
Cancer.
Cancer, yeah,
Big
you're
one.
special right now this summer. This is like the summer of Cancer, and particularly August being the month of you, Cancer, and your glow up. I would be thinking about this whole period, Jupiter in Cancer, for the next year or 10 months left now, as a kind of year of the glow up for you, meaning feeling confident, coming into your own powers, settling into the fullness of you, the acknowledging the great strength and power that you have to feed others through your ideas and your personality and your presence. Really, the power of your presence is a huge theme. But to have Venus now with Jupiter, I think this can be a great moment with this full moon to like acknowledge the power of your presence and the love that you have capacity for. The cup runneth over idea, where your love might be able to spill out and you might have an infectious magnetism all month. But the full moons, remember, accentuate. And so I think this full moon could be special, where you are deploying those powers here uniquely during this weekend. Now, some of it is this material dynamic that Mercury retrograde's been in your second house. You may have had to, wait or be waiting on certain financial things to emerge or to come through, or to hit, waiting for the check to hit the bank account kind of thing. There may be some more of that here, where there's a peak moment where you got clarity on just what these financial, unknowns have been. And those may be coming into form here for you during this full moon. So stay with it. If there is some kind of financial block or a new information around how to move forward with those financial matters, you'd be fitting the symbolism precisely. And I think with the Mars Saturn, you're talking about career changes. And so maybe this is like waiting on the contract or waiting on that new client to sign the check or to maneuver forward with the deals you're signing. Keep in mind that your ace in the hole is going to be the power of you, the magnetism and the beauty of you and the love that you have. I mean, you can bring, I know that when we articulate it that way, it sounds more like interpersonal, but those are all skills that bleed over into every areas of our lives. I mean, you can be doing mantras like in the workplace of like sending love to people. They might not ever know it. It might be some formal business thing, but you're like doing these like love mantras to people, and that can really help settle people in your presence.
Yeah, I love that. And for Cancers, it's really interesting. I think this full moon, I don't like. I think that you're gonna be really explorative and not be afraid to, explore emotions that go really deep. I think that this is going to be a really, let's say like maybe there can be some things coming to the surface too around this full moon for you, but you've got there's a lot of emotions that you may be feeling. But again, I like this full moon for you to just explore parts of you where you're like, okay, I didn't know I was that way, or oh, okay, I got that in me. So real, again, just things coming to the surface, but within you. And just, because S.J talks about it, the fact that you will have Venus conjunct Jupiter in your sign, that's a big deal. It's in your sign. And I kind of lightly mentioned this, that last year, Geminis didn't get it. It skipped Gemini, this, annual gift from the universe. It went from Aries, Taurus, skipped Gemini, went straight to you. But that happened to you 12 years ago. So now it's kind of like you got this. I'm thinking of like Lisa Kudrow in The Comeback. Like you've got it. All right, you've got this. Anyway, let's do it. You definitely have the spotlight, and I'm doing Share the Divine, and I think that you're just Pluto out of Capricorn. I mean, like, you just have so many great things happening. Anyway, let's just see what we can expect for Cancer. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Of course, this is exactly as I okay, so you got the death card. Yeah. Not surprised, right? And there we go. You got this full moon in Aquarius that rules your eighth of death and rebirth. Don't be afraid to go. I mean, like, there's got to be a lot of emotions that I feel that you're going to be feeling around this full moon, and the moon rules you anyway, but don't be afraid. You're going through some big change. Here's your affirmation, Queen of Pentacles. SJ talked about finances and money, but Pentacles, I always say it's your physical realm as well. It's like even like spirit of consciousness, like rising above matter. But there's just something really great about Queen of Pentacles because she does have this maternal side to her, and there's just so much of that energy happening with you, or even paternal side, or just that you're going to be in the fields. You're going to be like that nurturing energy that SJ talked about. Really great. But I really love this because confidence, Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, she has that confidence. She never said like, "Oh, one day I want to be the." She's like, "No, one day I'm gonna be the Queen of Pentacles," and you just all this cardinal energy. Anyway, Five of Wands. So there's that. With I think that SJ talked about this earlier, but but that Five of Wands is there's something here where there's something, it's almost like there's this tug of war, and it may be in your physical world, it may be within you, but there's something that, again, I feel like there's something here that's going to make you explore your emotions. Okay, with this full moon, explore it in a way where it's not too, some of these energies can be really strong over that full moon, so it can be a little, you are the crab, right? Pinchers out. We're gonna be cool. We're gonna stay frosty. We're gonna clarify that Five of Wands, but it's whatever it is, it's not worth your time, is all I'm saying. Okay, so when you explore your emotions, like I think that you're going through a lot of new energies anyway. Yeah, and then you get the Four of Wands. So you take that time. I mean, the Four of Wands. There you go. There's your big moment. Yeah, the Four of Wands, your big milestone moment, and there's so much happening for you. So, and I always say when this card comes up, it's the Four of Wands. It's something that's all about your passions or your ambitions. It's so spirited, but it's so freeing, right? They're outside of the castle. They're feeling good. They're in the sunlight. This is you big moments to come. Okay, this is indicating after that full moon, but just don't, if someone's trying to get your goat, just not that. You want to be in nurturing mode. You want to be in, I'm not letting anyone take away my power mode. If anyone's doing it, I say this all the time, that low energy frequency, if anyone's trying to pull you into low energy frequency, pull them out. Pull them out. Yeah, that's what humans are. That's what humanity is. That's what divination, that's we're all on a karmic journey. Yeah, so anyway, you're good. That's a long one for Cancer. SJ, you want to add anything to
just my quick thoughts are is Five of Wands and Four of Wands, so you're talking about the 10th and the 2nd, and Mercury will station direct in that Five of Wands zone. So I just come back to what I said earlier. Some of it will be like you've got this emotional expansive self that is this capacity for depth of emotion that's so beautiful, right? Emotions are so beautiful. So what if you're going to have a bunch of victories, career and money wise? How do you celebrate that? This feels kind of celebration for me for Cancer, like celebrating your victories. And I'm excited for you. So.
A lot to look forward to. And then speaking of the spotlight, we got Leo. Happy birthday, Bonnie.
Leos, you're awesome. You've got a beautiful season every year with the sun back in Leo. So this is really, again, a time of you, just like with Cancer, Jupiter and Cancer, now sun in Leo. These are two of the signs this summer where I think considering who you are becoming, who do you want to be? This is the time to make a move along those lines and to ride waves of epiphany around identity and self-renewal and creation. So especially with Mercury retrograding there during this full moon and for the couple of weeks before, and then a little bit after it stations direct, you're in a renewal process of self that the Mercury retrograde pulls you into. And so I would just hold that here, hold these questions during this full moon of who do you want to be and who are you becoming? Now with the moon in Aquarius, this might be against the backdrop of, or vis-a-vis, we might say, these primary intimacies in your life. There's nothing like the intimacy with another to inform us about who we are. And I think that's with this Leo season, Pluto in Aquarius for 20 years. So this might be a real long-term journey for you too. But having the full moon here underscores that. Who are the mirrors that you're engaging with that can show you how you're renewing uniquely here in August 2025. So it's exciting for you. I always love that self-renewal. On the other hand, that Mars-Saturn opposition, I think, does bring you into belief systems. And I want to encourage you, and this is okay in our relational dynamics, we have to align with beliefs or know where the beliefs are different. And that might be some of what happens during this full moon, where you're like, okay, hey, you believe that, I believe this. We're going to agree to disagree because we love each other. And we just know we don't have to keep talking about that, because why would we butt heads? And that might be some of the renewal, where you just kind of get clear about the zones of love and the overlap in those intimacies, belief system overlap. And that's not always, clean, because you get triggered and then you have to, okay, these are our belief system no-go zones. These are the belief system overlaps. And I think that's a big part of what I would look out for here for you on this weekend, full moon.
Yeah. And I've been telling Leos, well, first of all, remember, you got the spotlight, you got the stage. You're not a backup singer. You got the mic. Okay. It's all about you right now. But I do feel like this full moon is going to be very illuminating in terms of, I feel like you're getting just a little bit of a glimpse of, we've talked about this, right? We've talked about that new moon that you just had in your sign, how it's corresponding to all that major activity happening in February 2026. Really big month. But again, the North Node, South Node moving into Aquarius, Leo. So again, I really, really want you to take advantage of this moment and just feel that leonine energy. I just really feel empowered right now, because I think that you're definitely going to get some glimpses of what's to come for next year for you. But this is a big full moon, and I feel like it is going to be a really big turning point for you. And I feel like, just energetically, you already know it. I already feel like already feel something coming. So I'm really excited for you, Leo. And your story's not even over. You got Venus moving into your sign at the end of August. So you got the stage for a while. Let's see what's going on for Leo. All right, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Happy birthday to all Leos too, as well. I hope you're doing something really fun and special for your birthday, especially in August. And again, like, probably one of your most unforgettable birthday months for some time. Anyway, let's see. Okay, very interesting. You got that Seven of Swords. Okay, so I think that exactly what SJ was saying earlier. And what's really interesting is Seven of Swords is an Aquarius card. It's attributed to Moon in Aquarius. And so there's that Aquarius energy, that full moon in Aquarius here that we're talking about. And so just be very honest with yourself during this full moon. Be your authentic self. You are known for that, right? So there's gonna be some things coming up for you. I love the fact you got that 8 of Wands. So you see, as long as you're being your true self, and that's that authenticity that is you being the best version of yourself, and it is that light inside you that shines. So there may be also, by the way, with that Seven of Swords, can be a little bit of deception, just loyalty, dishonesty, but that's again something empowering you. If you feel that there's something happening within your world that's being illuminated or has been happening for some time, this is the full moon where it's just like, okay, we got to not ignore it. We got to take care of that. And then boom, you got that 8 of Wands, you got the 8 of Rods, right? Just whoosh, so lively. There's so much movement and action here and swiftness. And it's just, I think I told you, when you get after this full moon, the day after Mercury going direct, immediately sextiling Mars, I mean, you are going to feel that. Okay. And so really nice. This is just, and again, I think that SJ talked about that for a second, but you're going to just, after Mercury is retrograde your sign during this time of the full moon, just be honest with yourself. Things are just going to move in ways that you've never seen. Now, you have the 4 of Pentacles as well. So there is something here that's, hey, asking you to, like, while you're moving forward, and I think I said this yesterday too, continue, like, slow down, but continue to move forward. Okay. Do not, like, nothing's in your way, but put some things in order. Okay. I think that's what the universe is asking you to do, because that's a big moment, the 7 of Swords and the 8 of Wands. And so you can see this full moon may be really active for you. So don't forget to just continue to focus on the foundations of your life, what you want to build for your life moving forward. And there may be something that comes up in terms of how can I take whatever's being illuminated for me long term. Okay, we're in it for the long haul. All right, and because it is your birthday season, I'm gonna clarify that Four of Pentacles for you. All right, but it really is. I just want you to think of like four legs of a table. You know, that stability. That's what you're seeking. And then you have the Queen of Swords. Look at you. Okay, very nice, very exciting, especially because Queen of Swords is Libra, and Queen of Swords, she doesn't mess around. She doesn't mess around. Okay, she is not that type of queen, but she is fair and she is honest. And you know, this is you as well, just having those just really just up here, this authority, right? Singular thought, not letting anyone, you know, have influence on your decisions that you're making, as long as you are being true to you. Okay, remember her sword. Well, it's all about true perception. She's connected to the divine, but she also has a really big backstory that makes her worthy of sitting in this throne. But emotions at the door, so emotions don't cloud your judgment. So there's something here that you're going to be experiencing that puts you in this place where you're just becoming this more empowered Leo. And again, I just feel like Leos already know that. I feel like you know that there is big change coming in an amazing way for you. Okay.
Yeah, and I just go ahead, Jimmy. Sorry that I
No,
don't
no,
want
no. I
to.
was gonna say there. I think that you wanted to add. This is a great because it does bring up that, you know, there is everything that SJ was talking about earlier, just even from the get go with Mars and in Libra. Like, pay attention to that with all that air energy, that air trine, and you having these two swords, and even in those 8 wands just zipping through the air. But remember, those wands are aligning for you. But I feel like there is something like landing for you, if that makes sense. And then when you get it, you go straight to the Four of Pentacles, this earthy, just, you know, Sun in Capricorn card. So just keep that in mind. I feel like this could be a big full moon for you. That again, I always just feel like you already know. It feels like I don't have to tell you, but just definitely put things in order. It's going to make you more powerful. It's going to make you more. You're gonna see through the of that. You know, starting with that Seven of Swords. Look at where you end up, Queen of Swords. All right.
Yeah, I just was going to say, I think the emotional side that you raised there, Jimmy, is good for Leo to keep in mind. You don't want to let those emotions get too overwhelming or too big. I mean, we love Venus and Jupiter and Cancer, but in that 12th house from Leo, it may be that you have to kind of not let that get too distracting, you might say. I think this is a good full moon to lock in for you, Leo, particularly on the relational dynamics that we were discussing earlier. So
Yeah, and CC, happy birthday. I see you said today's your birthday. All right, you got your message for the full moon. Happy birthday, though. What a great day to have your birthday on the Cazimi. All right, okay, and so Virgo.
Virgo,
Virgo? Yeah.
let's dive into Virgo. I mean, Virgo is so interesting right now because there is Mars there currently. The South Node is in Virgo. You've kicked off the eclipse cycle in the sign Virgo in 2025 with that March lunar eclipse. In September, you have the only solar eclipse in this cycle. So you're going through major change, Virgo, around who you are and why you're here and what your purpose is. So I want to encourage you to stay with that journey. When Mars leaves on the 6th of August, right before this full moon, that might give you a little bit of a break from some of that intensity, a short break, because there's so much happening in Virgo with the sun and then Mercury entering and then Venus entering and then that eclipse. So just keep in mind that that's the context. I think this full moon is maybe a break. I mean, that's what I would say. You might want to use this full moon energy to kind of rest if you can. You've got the sun and Mercury calling you into rest in Leo, and maybe it's taking a pause to take a breath and renew or recommit to who you are, and maybe even writing it down. I am this. Mercury in Leo about to station direct. this is who I know myself to be. And that's a great thing. And circle it and bold it, put it up on your mirror, put it up above your couch, looking at these kind of affirmations. I think affirmations would be a great practice for you, Virgo, during this full moon, because Aquarius is like that. It's a technology, and it's a technology in your chart that is something you can engage with as part of a committed relationship to an idea. And so I like that you might kind of use these technologies of language to talk about yourself to yourself in a way that can kind of reaffirm these bigger identity changes that you've been undergoing for quite a while. I do come back to the resource side of things. I think with Mars and Libra, that may trigger up some of the systems of support that might not be working anymore. And so you might want to, you have an opportunity, is how I would say it, to tweak systems of support right here in August to get ready for that eclipse in September. And this could be small things like move this desk or the feng shui in your environment. You might have purchased something that's just not going to work and you have to kind of give up on it. Just throw in the towel on certain things you thought were going to be part of your support structure to get ready here. So anyhow, I'm liking it. I think it's a good pause for you, all things considered.
Yeah, I think so too. And when I see what's happening for Virgos with this full moon, I feel like there's a sense of this big overhaul. I feel like Virgos, and like SJ said, with the South Node in your sign, you just had that major conjunction with Mars. There's been a lot, and you're still going to have aspects with the South Node in your sign for the rest of the year. In fact, up until July 2026. But I feel like this is a really great full moon for you, and I feel like there's something. It's almost like you're feeling this call, and some of you may not know what it is yet, but I think that clarity does come when Mercury, your ruler, goes direct in Leo. And I feel like that, oh my gosh, just the fact that I'm a Virgo moon, my mom's a Virgo, Ruby's a Virgo. I got so many Virgo friends. I know what y'all been going through, but I think there's something clarifying, and there's this almost like this return to home. There's almost like this sense of comfort with this full moon that feels nice. There's something, I mean, it is in you rule the six, so you're all about purification. But I love this full moon for you, and I think that it's part of what I've been saying pretty much the past few months, like out with the old in with the new. I feel like that is something that like you can really identify with. Like you're going through change, but this is a great one. So let's see. I'm using the Tarot of the Divine for y'all. Okay, Virgos, come on, y'all are so funny. Okay, so let's yeah, wow. All right, so well, you got the Nine of Wands. Okay, so just bear that in mind. With the Nine of Wands, yeah, you've been going through it. You've been going through some moments, but I'm looking at the Nine of Wands that with the Hermit, which is your card. As you know, the Hermit is attributed to Virgo, but the Hermit is also card 9, which, as you know, we're in the year of 9, and we can go on and on and on about 9. But there is, again, something here that's asking you to, is there something that you're fighting, right? Is there something that you're fighting when there's something that's your intuition is telling you to, like, all right, let me go within, let me do that introspection. I've gone through some moments where I've actually had to fight, or I've had to really like not give up. But now it's time for this full moon. Again, it's almost like this safe space for you that I feel. And there's your affirmation with the Hermit. What is the next step? Right? What is the next step for you? But in order to know that, you got to really connect. Okay. Remember that light's inside you, and you pulled your own card. And so there can even be as just really deep soul searching for you as well. Like, what is next? Right? Because again, you've been going through a lot with those, especially with that Mars South Node activation. And then you got the Devil. So you really got to go deep. You really got to know, you really got to take that time to connect or even reconnect with, your soul, your spirit, like what's inside you. Okay. All that wisdom, all that inner wisdom that all these planets are asking of you right now. Saturn retrograde, everything that we've talked about, that inner wisdom, just really connecting with that And again, I think this is a perfect time, that full moon weekend, the perfect time if you can just drown out that noise and then identify, even with that devil popping up, like identify like what is holding me back? What is that energy I don't want to bring into this brand new era that I've been talking about? But again, you got a new moon coming up in your sign. And then SJ talked about the new moon solar eclipse. You got back to back big windows of new change that's you're about to move into in your birthday season. And so again, you don't want to bring that. I always say the devil's like that energy vampire. And so what is it? Okay, what is it? Is it something in your physical world and your daily life? What needs that turning point, that change, even if it's just a tiny little thing? And again, with you being so Virgoan, there can be a lot going on up here. So again, just take this, again, full moon, connect with it. And just like that Gemini that I was talking about, just speak to the moon if you need to. Just actually take that inspired action to take that time out for yourself. Okay, because you want to break free from those chains, that devil energy. And a lot of it can be like subconscious. That moon is this, it's going to bring things up, and you're going to have to face them. You want me here? I'll take, yeah, we'll do. What'd you get? Yeah, you're really going to have to, Seven of Swords. Okay, there's something here. And then you got the well, look at you got the Two of Cups as well. Something great for you waiting on the other side with that Two of Cups. And again, it feels like this brand new journey. And even with the Two of Cups, I mean, there you are with Venus in Cancer. I mean, like, there's something great for every sign once we get through the first 2 weeks. And with Venus conjunct Jupiter, and there's just so much, right? So, but please take that time for the full moon, and you're going to be in the safe space. If you don't feel it, create it for yourself so you can have that time, okay, to really connect and let some things go, okay? Because there may be some things without Seven of Swords saying we're really going to have to face this now. And then you got the Two of Cups. Really wonderful. Do you want to add it?
I'd love to. Yeah. I think the idea, the devil is in the details. There's kind of not a better combination with the devil card for Virgo. And with all of the Sun Mercury stuff in the 12th, I really I take this time. I think this is the perfect moment. Take the time right now, Virgo. This is the one to do it. The Saturn in the 8th energy is one where you may want to clear out some of the things that are in the way right now, and kind of reorganize some of the, fifth house is creativity. That's where Capricorn is. That's where that devil energy is. So what kind of rearrangements can you make right now materially? This might be, turning down an invitation. Hey, I can't do that. I can't take on too much because it's you time. And so I'll just leave it at that. But I think making sure that your fun and your commitments for fun aren't getting in the way right now of this deep and profound process you're undergoing, this really alchemical, if you want to use that term, process of self rejuvenation.
Yeah, I think Virgos, this is going to be, I'm going to talk about this in your weekly forecast. I think that this is going to be a time that you really get the crystals. You do a little full moon thing. If you have never done it before, I think this would be the time. Okay, you're gonna see some really big changes throughout the rest of the year for you. Okay, so great. I tell my mom that, and she's going through some really big changes. So am I, as a 29-degree Virgo moon. Says
Two full moons in a season. So I mean, that alone, as you mentioned, Jimmy, I mean, you got two renewals, one being an eclipse. I mean, we could keep on Virgo for a whole 1 hour live stream because they're kind of the main character in a lot of ways this year. But
let's go to Libra. Yeah, this is going to be exciting.
Libra, wow, overextension, overexertion, finally being called into accepting the limits that maybe you've been pushing up against here this summer, finally having to confront and accept your own limitations. is a big story, I think, for you, Libra. I think a lot of that's going to have to do with the relational dynamics involved in your, intimate space. I've been saying intimacies, but you might have certain people or players that can help you understand through, their wisdom, just what it is that you have available. I think a lot of what I would say with Libra is acknowledging and notating your availability. That might be a good way to say it. What are you available for? What aren't you available for? Who are you available for? Who can't you be available for? Is going to be a huge part, I think, of this full moon moment. The other side with you, Libra, is there's so much professional stuff going on right now. So many opportunities with career and with connecting in the outer world with groups of people, the networking that can be so much of the professional work, that I really would encourage you to not necessarily restrict your intimacies, but you might want to prune them here and focus more on your goals and your, what you're building, doing, and making, and how important that is right now. Because this is a rare time to have that Jupiter in Cancer, and you want to be feeding that, to have Mercury renewing in the 11th, which is often professional. So basically get your work on, and, maybe you'll be able to, again, commit in new ways to support that workflow that's so primary. And then I just think creative breakthrough is always a part of the 5th house, and that Aquarian creativity that's about, that's so, much of the Libran is that fresh and new and innovative ways to have fun and to generate and to see the world. That I can see that being a part of it here as much as anything else. And I think that's part of your career story right now too, stepping into those innovative things that you generate uniquely. And that's why you're probably hired at the job you've got, because you've got these special powers, but
yeah, no, Libra Nation, y'all always inspire me, especially knowing what you had been going through. You and Aries too, even just before we moved into the Pisces Virgo axis. But anyway, Libra, all this full moon, I do love it for you. And yes, I think that he called it spot on, that creative energy so activated for you with this full moon. I absolutely love it. And remember, and I always say this, like when we think of creativity, just think of the root, right? Create. Yeah. And creativity, sometimes we just naturally think of like the arts or painting or writing, and all of that exists, and definitely go for it. But it can be creative in terms of like problem solving or creative. There's so many ways to ride that wave, but it's a really, really nice wave for you. And I feel like that just brings out this expressive side that Libra, like, come on, y'all are so social. You're so social. I feel like there's going to be a lot of like networking that you're going to be doing over the weekend, or even networking opportunities. And I think, S.J. talked about this earlier, just even social media wise, like put yourself out there. Everyone's got the spotlight. All right, so Libra Nation, let's see what's going on for y'all. Okay, and you got Mars in your sign. Like what? It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years, Libra. Take advantage. Use it to your. Okay, let's see what you. Oh wow. Okay, Okay, we're gonna give Libra a little. You get the wise owl too. You get all of that. Okay, so Libra, come on. You got the Ace of Swords. You got the Wheel of Fortune. You got the Ace of Pentacles. This is your time. This is indicating, this is when we talk about new, I mean, that is an understatement. When you got the Wheel of Fortune sandwiched by 2 aces, come on. Ace of Swords. I love that, especially, come on, you being air sign. He talked about the air trend that we have going on. But again, there's that mental breakthrough. Okay. And there's that almost a seed being planted. There's something just really big. Contracts, really big, right? Even I talked about Juno. Juno's yours. You know that, right? Juno's your asteroid. Juno's very active. You got Wheel of Fortune. Come on. What is going on, Libra? What are y'all planning? You're already planning something for the full moon, but there you go. There's your turning point. Okay. And remember, the Wheel of Fortune is a 10, 1 0 equals 1. So there's this aces, right? New opportunities. We talked about that. New beginnings, new, just something pulling you in this amazing new direction. With that Wheel of Fortune here, remember, is attributed to Jupiter. Yeah. And again, as Jay mentioned, like, a lot of career energy. You got the Ace of Pentacles, talked about money, where like, so you're good. And remember, Pentacles, your physical realm, that's the 5-pointed star here that I always like to call out. I mean, that goes back to Mesopotamia times, linked to the vaults of heaven, but it's also just like, it's the golden ratio. It's just, it's, I can talk, so I'm going to stop. But the Ace of Pentacles, there you go. There's a seed being planted. There really is something being, it's almost like this divine energy that's happening for you around this full moon. That, again, we said it earlier, creativity, that is part of this divination, right? That's you connecting to the divine, the ether, and it is locked and loaded for you, but there's almost this surplus of it that you get during this full moon. So you got a great full moon. You got a great full moon. Great energy here with a lot of just new things happening for you, new direction, but in a way where you may not even see it coming. I mean, really ride this Mars in your sign wave. Do you want to add anything to that? That's like a jackpot here. That's like,
yeah, really good energies. And you said it, there is this air grand trine with Uranus and Gemini, Pluto and Aquarius, and then Mars and Libra. When you see that Ace of Swords, I think it really reaffirms that, Libra. Breakthroughs around idea sets, new approaches, new ways of seeing. And whenever you think about the air element, it could be books. I mean, don't sleep on that. We read, we get words, and it can change our thoughts or minds, or podcasts. I mean, we live in a world of the digital media landscape. There may be some new ideas you can expose yourself to that can help support that breakthrough for this full moon weekend. So very exciting, Libra. Wow. Very cool. I love to hear the bell, Jimmy. Beautiful.
Yeah, I get really excited when I see spreads like this, even like mini spreads. I mean, come on, 2 aces. That's amazing. I love that Ace of Pentacles. That's just Libra, expect some wealth. And you know, remember, we talk about wealth comes in a lot of different forms. Scorpio.
Scorpio, yeah, another sign that I think is, well, you know, Mars is your traditional ruler. So Mars being in Libra creates a whole unique story here for you, Scorpio, and that could underscore the need to prioritize safety. And I mean that in the best of ways. I mean, you may want to wind down. You may want to play it careful. You may not want to take risks. I always tell people with transits like that, you know, don't free climb El Capitan. This is not the time to be out, you know, doing motorbikes without a helmet or something like this. You know, you really want to prioritize where can you get into a more of a protective model. And, you know, it's all of this Mars and Libra transit. It's time to rest. Every 2 years, Mars comes to Libra. For you, Scorpio, that's time to pull back, maybe get into the practices that support you as a way to like process. Even a lot of times when we think about the 12th house, it's the end of a cycle for a planet. So this might be a good time to review the last 2 years, even just kind of take a pause and a breather. And I would include in that things that are related to Saturn and Aries, which are your health stories and your health journey. You know, it's always good to think about your diet. This would be a perfect time to maybe, you know, start again with some of the dietary obligations that you're choosing, or some of the commitments you have with your exercise. Diet and exercise, right? That's health. You know, so I think that would be a big one for you here. My sense is that with the full moon in Aquarius, this could be home-based. So we're talking about, does your space allow you to support, for example, an aerobics practice or a calisthenics practice, or whatever you're doing within that home space to, you know, get movement going as a way to reaffirm the health journey that you're on. I love that the planets Venus, Jupiter, and then Sun, Mercury are in the 9th and 10th for you. And I think the career accentuation that's also a huge part of this moment. You may want to bring in, notions of learning or systematizing study, or, even publishing, dare I say, with Mercury stationing direct soon in your 10th. This full moon is going to evoke all that, where you may be pulled into like, okay, yeah, this is the idea that is fertile, and that is going to be the one that you can sort of base your action in the world on, and how you're going to project yourself. A belief system, support for your career, and the basis of your career is a big theme here as well.
Yeah, that's very spot on. That's very spot on. Even with the full moon, I think that Scorpio, what I really love is, again, you are not afraid to go deep. You do have that intensity about you. And actually, what is it? Today's the 30th. You got the moon in your sign. Yeah. So you're gonna really feel this weekend. Look at the video from yesterday. But I do like this full moon. And just like SJ said, I think that it, brings some awareness to, fitness, health, and health matters, but a lot of attention around the home space, especially with just the fact you do have Jupiter and Cancer that, SJ talked about. But I think that there's something here, and it just brings to mind like a friend that is a Scorpio and going through a lot of big changes at home, getting ready for, a baby coming through, and they may now have to move into a bigger place. And there's just a lot of paperwork that's been going around, a lot of things having to do with contracts. And as you know, I've told you Juno's in your sign right now. That's Jupiter's wife, by the way, Zeus's wife. But anyway, so there's a lot, but I think that there is a sense of everything that SJ said. Let's just stick with that, because I'm just going to say the same thing. So let's just see what's going on for you, but really center around the home space, home and family. Okay. Scorpio, I'm going to use the Tempest spread for you. All right, Scorpio, let me see what's going on for you. I'm just looking. You also have Ceres. Ceres is going to have some aspect. Well, you got the moon moving into air. Okay, you know what? We'll talk about your weekly forecast. Look at this. Okay, so amazing. You have the Nine of Cups. There you go. Amazing. So it does feel like there's already been some like abundance that you may have felt, or you may be moving into this the next few weeks. But also this sense of, we call this is a card of complete satisfaction. Okay. And there's something here when it comes with the Queen of Wands that I really absolutely love for you. The Queen of Wands is calling to this spotlight that I've been telling you about. Like, she's so dynamic, she's so regal, she's very charismatic, people gravitate toward her, but that's confidence. Like, she knows how the law of attraction works. Like, she invented it, right? So there is going to be this allure that I really love, and there is something to be said about the career space for y'all, or work from home, those kind of energies with that Queen of Wands. She also has, and I always feel like Scorpio love hearing this, she does have a lot of sexual energy too. And I feel like even with some attention going around, with some things happening for y'all, just embrace it. But I love the Queen of Wands coming after that Nine of Cups, okay? Because there's a sense of something that you feel proud about that's showing up here. Then you got the Devil, all right? So you know that you can go, we can talk about, the other side of that Scorpio energy, but that Devil, again, just there's something here. The Devil is attributed to Capricorn. There is just something here. Let's just be mindful, all right? And it can be just a quick fix in terms of maybe I have to have a conversation with someone about this, or maybe there's so much pride. Remember those lower expressions of that Leo energy and some aspects that are happening, but like pride and ego, there can be something here. So just be mindful of that around this full moon, especially the home family space. And I'm throwing in parents, I'm throwing in kids, you got this Capricorn card come up. Capricorn rules her third. So again, just a lot of family family energy here. So there may be something here where it's really, again, out with the old, in with the new. Every time the devil card comes up, that's really, there's certain energies that you're going to be experiencing for August, even September, even October, where when we get to your birthday season, where there's gonna be the planets are asking you to change certain ways of thinking, certain lifestyle habits, patterns, things like that. All right. So I don't even get a strong feeling from that devil card. It's more just like a reminder, like, okay, let's not do that again. So I don't know if that makes sense for you, but I'll clarify that, devil, for you. Okay. Yeah. Has to do with the home, with that Four of Pentacles. Okay. So that's where it's got to be. The foundations of your life, just there's got to be possibly a new way of seeing things, thinking about things. But I do love the Queen of Wands of that Nine of Cups, bringing that energy of where, yeah, that could be what you needed to change certain ways that you see things, or habits, or patterns, or, even we can go deep in the subconscious. That is the full moon for you. All right. So let things illuminate. All right. Around that home space. Okay. Do you want to add anything
I can always add yeah. And what was coming up for me was we didn't talk about this as much yet, but how much the sign of Pisces, that Nine of Cups, right? The 10 degrees there in the middle of Pisces, where the North Node is currently, how much that is a big player. It's not just some like long-term transit. It's going to be here in about a month with Saturn coming back into Pisces, but then the eclipse in Pisces. And so I just that's big. It's coming up in this Scorpio read, but I think that's a big part of the story for Scorpio rising, is like the fun and renegotiating what fun means. And with Mars in the 12th, it might be time to kind of sober up a little bit. And I think this full moon can kind of maybe like staying home and kind of throwing water on the face and kind of like, all right, this is what fun means for me actually. And not trying to get out and maybe, I don't know. I think drug use, and not that anybody's doing drugs. Let me say this another way. Even healthy libation that we sometimes engage in. And so I didn't even mean that the drug use. I meant it more like alcohol. I think this is a good time for Scorpio to.
Well, that's what the devil card is. I mean, that it is exactly that. So it is like obsessions and, everything that you had mentioned. And, I think there is a sense of like, even what you were saying earlier with it, health and physical health, and even that spiritual health, like everything that's activated there. Even that 12th house energy, Mars and Libra. I mean, that can even be like, that self-sabotage. And so, yeah, the devil, but let's just have that moment of reminder that, and it's so funny that you bring up the North Node in Pisces and how Saturn's moving back into Pisces and the eclipse in Pisces, and that is a fifth. And I was just talking about my friend, and that's just this brand new energy of that, him, and they're bringing a fifth house is procreation. They're bringing a baby into this world. So that's a lot of adjusting, a lot of new things, and you're going to want to prepare for big moments like that. And it doesn't have to be a baby in your life, but just for the brand new that's about to happen in your life. Make room for it.
And that's exactly, the word I wanted to use was not drugs, but just our addictions, because that's what the devil card is. When you look at it, it's the things, and addiction might be too strong of a word, but just the habits that we kind of had, that have us, that have a hold of us. And that's really what I meant to say earlier. I mean, I think this Scorpio rising can be more of a great time to like check in and check yourself, because Saturn is in that 6th house of health and wellness. And so opposite Mars, the ruler of you. And so, it's saying it a different way, but it's just, I think part of the health check is going to be like, okay, what are you, what has you, quote unquote, what has you that you want to have a new relationship to? So anyhow, just to clarify that a little bit. Sorry to throw the drug word in there. I didn't.
No, it's totally fine.
My mind connects that with this other way of thinking about the devil card. When you see, some, because people do struggle with that, to be clear. And
but
I don't want to minimize that. But
love can be a drug. I mean, and Scorpio would know that, right? Scorpio would really, really know that. And there is that element of like, it can go extreme. And there's that sense of, even with the devil, codependency, and, so just healthy habits and being aware, right, of those moments. All right. I think we have 2 left. We have Sagittarius next. Okay.
Yep. 2 left. Sagittarius. What is going on? I think you're also in a little bit of a place with this one that is a little calmer compared to some of the other signs. That all of the action really isn't in these kind of primary places in your horoscope. We call them angular houses. So you might have a little bit of a breather too. And I think with Sagittarius, you're talking about Jupiter as the main ruling planet in your 8th with Venus. I love this moment for you just to enjoy what's on offer, with people offering you things. There might be family offering you things. There may be institutions making resources available to you. I think this is a great moment for you to enjoy some of the benefits that people have want to share with you. Basically, I'd be open to that, receiving materially support in really beautiful ways. I think that some of the tension may come in with the relational, again, with the Saturn opposite Mars in your one area of your chart is the groups that you're associating with, and how those might, I don't know, maybe you're tired of a certain association, you're tired of the friend group right now, and instead of going out with the friends, you may want to be focused more on the behind the scenes enjoyments. Like say someone has given you a little bit of money or a bonus at work or something, you might want to just focus on enjoying that and maybe not going to Vegas with it, with the party friend group, because that will be some of how the Saturn Mars opposition is functioning, especially in the 5th house with Saturn there in Aries in your 5th. It's time to, come to terms with the renegotiations of fun. I said that earlier, but I think about the 5th house is about our fun. Jimmy earlier was talking about creativity being more than just painting or music. And I like the word generativity, or I've thought often about when we're in the zone, when we're just feeling alive and we're engaged in activities that help us feel alive. See, Saturn this summer has been helping you clarify and get more real with that process, maybe letting go of previous types of fun. What you thought was fun, you're having to learn now that different things are actually what is really fun for you. And so that might be more about it in this moment, going into, again, these supportive networks, like going hanging out with grandma or parents and having a meal with family. I can see you doing more of that during this full moon than wanting to go out again, like to the Vegas friend trip. But so that's my sense here with some of the energies for you.
Yeah, I love that. I think that for Sagittarius, this full moon, I mean, it's a pretty loaded full moon for y'all, but there is almost like, I feel like you want something stimulating, and I feel like you're gonna get it. I think that you're gonna get it, and I think that you're gonna really like this full moon. And there is something where you may be drawn. I feel like you may be drawn to just, honestly, like just learning new things. Maybe even it's just like an online course, or maybe it's, when you go through YouTube, there's always that random video and you kind of look at it, but you just scroll it. You're like, go to the videos you normally watch. Maybe this would be that full moon. You click that video about, turtles that are, in Australia, whatever it is, whatever you want. Okay. Just maybe learning something or doing something different with your mind. I just feel like you just really want to be stimulated, and you're going to get it because you're putting that energy out there. All right. Now, Tarot of the Divine. For Sagittarius, are we okay? Let's see what's going on with you. This is okay, yeah. So I think that, okay, so you got the 4 swords, yeah, great, wonderful. There's this sense of like, rest and retreat of the mind, the stillness of the mind. I think it feels really great. I feel like with a lot of the energies that even like SJ was talking about, like moving up to that full moon, yeah, there could have been a lot that you're going through, because when you go through experiences with other people involved and you are gonna do, like, there's a lot of that energy. It can be a little bit depleting. This is great for you, but then you got that Three of Swords, okay, following the Four of Swords, two Libra cards. So I really want you to pay attention to that. I really want you to pay attention to what SJ said, right? With Mars being in Libra, okay, and you know that Libra energy just blends really nicely with yours, you being a fire sign, but there's just something there that can be really spirited. But at the same time, full moons, they are endings. And like I said, I think that you are seeking some sort of stimulation. I said that I think that you are going to find it because you got that 10 of cups. So there's something rewarding for you with an experience that you may have that, even the Three of Swords is, it is what we call the heartbreak card, but it's all about perception. It's at the end of the day, it's still a sword suit. It's up here. And what's interesting about the Three of Swords, these are two Libra cards, but the Three of Swords is attributed to Saturn in Libra. And not a lot of people know Saturn's exalted in Libra. And you do, there's just so much happening in everything that SJ said, but there is something here. When I say you're seeking stimulation, I think you're going to find it. I think that it's almost like whatever happens here, and it can be you. Like SJ said, there may be like you're looking for new friends, and maybe there's a friendship. They're just like, oh, it's heartbreaking because I, was with this Facebook group for 15 years, but it's not for me anymore. Moving on. And it's like, that's bit, like you've had that energy with you for 15 years. But again, there's something rewarding. You have that 10 of cups. You have, the card of complete happiness and joy. And back to, what Etche was saying, there's just so much energy with home, family, friendship, just connection with others. And that creative energy is really, really strong. And the 10 of cups, I just feel like there's some sort of finish line that, or just some goal that is coming to fruition, and you only see it when you have that Three of Swords moment. Did we spell? Okay, yeah, let's. I think. All right. Okay. Did you want to add anything, SJ?
Yeah, I just you're pulling the two swords cards, and we're back to that Mars and Libra as a theme, and I want to encourage folks, just like you had said, so much of our relationships these days is digital. We have these digital communities and friend chats on WhatsApp and Instagram, and I think this would be a good time to curate or prune some of that, just as you mentioned there, but expanding it out to the digital realm, because it's the air element. The swords are the air element. Mars, Libra is the air element, where the Mars is in that 11th house. So great time to Mars, break away, cut out some of the things that aren't serving you anymore.
It could even be a little bit of, because you got, Sagittarius really has that social media like really activated during this full moon for them. So there may be something there, like maybe there is literally a Facebook group or just something. Maybe even if it's like doom scrolling, like, it's like where it's the end of that. Like we gotta, whatever it is, there's just something here that maybe social media related, advertising, PR market, whatever it is. Maybe you are an influencer, but I don't know. It's just, again, I just feel this big electric energy, when it comes to you for this full moon, and it's just that stimulation. I feel like there's something that you're going to be craving, but I feel like it's going to be something that you're going to have an experience. And I feel like it's you. That Three of Swords is more like you are like, I got to do this. I got to rip off the Band-Aid, and then there you go with that 10 of cups. So again, I feel this as a great thing. It's almost like you took your moment, the night's resting, and then just, but should anything happen here where you feel that energy, just know it was an experience that you were meant to go through. Okay. And I think we have lastly, if for the for your greater good with that 10 of cups. And then lastly, we have Capricorn.
Yeah, and I just want to say, as we get into Capricorn, keep in mind we do get that yearly Venus and Libra transit in October. And we've been doing a little bit of that here today, of just kind of showing how, like, Mars will be in Scorpio after September 22nd, all of October into early November. Venus enters Libra on, I think it's 14 October, and through October until November. So, all of us, we've been talking about Mars and Libra. There is some good stuff coming. All right, this Mars and Libra moment, this trigger actually settles here and within, this quarter. So keep that in mind. If there are triggers, like Jimmy's talking about, a Facebook group or something that you may want to prune, but what if you're also seeing kind of the green shoots of things that are going to become prominent later as you step into certain groups or certain social media? So, okay, let's come into Capricorn. You've got money. I mean, we're back to money. Full moon in your second house, always good to be thinking about resources and money. Saturn in your fourth, home. And I'm real interested in, like, if there's real estate that you've been investing in, or maybe you've been trying to sell a house this summer, where this might give you some kind of peak moment where you either take an action one way or the other. Maybe you take it off the market and you realize, hey, you're going to wait, or maybe it all happens. Maybe this is the full moon where there's a part of that negotiation we were talking about earlier with the Libran archetype. Maybe you're going to get into some negotiations here this weekend that are a little bit tense or a little bit triggering, but yet it's propelling you forward, right? It's a culmination of this preview period of Saturn and Aries and this big summer and these new changes. I think there's just a lot here, maybe moving or home upgrades and changes that are a big part of this time, this early August pocket. And I just encourage you to lean on your partners, whether that's romantic, whether that's just interpersonal partnership, or people that you're closely associated with. They can really help soften and lead the way here. Going back to, like, the idea of a home sale, you might have an agent you've partnered with and they're really good, and you just end up trusting them or trusting what they're saying because you've got that Venus, Jupiter activation in your seventh house, which can be about partnerships, non-romantic. Like I said, sometimes it's good to think about the seventh house in that way, because so much we think, oh, relationship, primary intimate relationship, but most of the time it's not that. It's other types of individuals that emerge. So keep that in mind. And yeah, maybe your career is, you're having too much focus on your personal finance and home world, that the career is not as accessible for you in August. And maybe that's part of what you're going to be digesting, is how to navigate or elide well your work world with all of this other stuff happening with interpersonal relationship in the home.
I agree. And, just seeing the fact that Capricorn has this full moon in Aquarius in their second, I feel like there's going to be some, just, it can be subtle, it can be big, but I feel like it comes back to, like, things that you value. And I just feel like there's going to be a big change in maybe the way that you see resources, or there may be, like, SJ was talking about home and real estate. I mean, that could, material possessions, a lot of that could be a focus for you. It could be a big turning point. A lot of y'all could be in a big move, and that could be your Mars Saturn moment. There could be something here where it's this tug of war between career, home, but there is something, just again, with that second house activated and your Venus Jupiter moment in the seventh. I just see, like, these blessings, and I just feel y'all getting richer. Like, it's you, Capricorn. There's so much cardinal activation. It's like you're in the zone, right? You are really just taking charge. And I feel like, what I've been talking about for months now is that spiritual warrior. Everyone's being asked to be that spiritual warrior, that spiritual leader, that compassionate hero, role model. Well, Capricorn, it feels like you're on top of it. I feel like I mean, and this is true story. Last night I was on a call, because I'm on these back-to-back calls with developers and all these people for the Great Awakener, and he obviously knows what I do, and he asked me to look at his chart, his birth chart, and he was born in 1997. He was born, so he's obviously Capricorn, but he had 5 planets in Capricorn, and his Jupiter on top of his sun. I couldn't. I was like, what is going on? I mean, at 29 degrees, I mean, it was bonkers. But in his second house, I'm like, okay, like, what's going on here? Like, I want to be friends with you. Anyway, just Capricorns, you're in a good space. I like this full moon for you. I have the the Tempest. Okay, let's see what's going on for Capricorn. Um, for the full moon, yeah, partnerships really highlighted, contracts really highlighted. There could be something here that truly, like, I'm energetically just getting like big, big, big. But let's see. Yeah, there you go. You've got, and it's so okay. So you temperance, right? So there you go. Really love it. It's almost like you've been waiting. You've been waiting. You've been patient. You've been practicing that patience that I asked you to do. That's what Saturn and Aries want to anyway. Wax on, wax off. And so really love the fact that you did get temperance, and really, really nice moving into that Eight of Swords. Okay, because over this full moon, when you get the actual moon card, there's some things that you're gonna have to face. And the fact that you have Mars and Saturn being your ruler, I think that, S.J mentioned that, but Mars being exalted in your sign. But anyway, there's some stuff like between home and work, and there's a lot of activations around this full moon. Now, the moon in tarot is attributed to Pisces, and then you have that Eight of Swords, which is that's a Gemini card, right? And so really interesting just seeing what's happening for you, because Gemini, rules that third house. And so there is this connection here, and that is your workspace anyway, right? With Uranus and Gemini in your six. And then you have the North Node in Pisces. And again, that Pisces story, it's not done. You have an eclipse coming up. So third house, there's just something here where I feel like, yes, everything I said earlier, there may be some binds that are dissolving, or maybe new ones, but whatever it is, like there's gonna be something that you're gonna have to face with that Eight of Swords. We do call it like the self-victim card. Like, she put herself here in this place. But I mean, this is a very different deck. I'm talking about the Rider-Waite-Smith. But that Eight of Swords is really like, what is it that you have to face? Let the moon illuminate. And the moon is the subconscious. When you have the Eight of Swords, you're dealing more with the conscious, with the physical mind, right? And again, putting yourself in a place where, oh, I don't even want to think about this, or it does feel like there may be someone it could be someone in your life that is, or a circumstance that is making you feel this way. Like, it's not that you just want, oh, wait, no, I'm not gonna fit. There's something that you have to address, and the full moon is gonna bring that up. And it does look like there is a conversation that needs to be had, because the fact that you do have temperance, which is good. Temperance is Sagittarius. The rules are 12th. There may be just a lot going on. We gotta, and this is, again, I feel this is a great thing because you're bringing it out of your subconscious, okay, with that Eight of Swords here. But now let's actually take action in terms of let's not put ourselves in a place where we can't handle the truth of some matters or circumstances that are happening. We got to own it. And I just said you got all this cardinal activation. And so I think the moon is going to set you free. I think there is something that once you address it, once you recognize it during this full moon, which again is in your second house. So that is all about self-worth anyway. It's all about self-worth, self-value, building that confidence even more. So it looks like there may be something here, and it can be you, because someone put you in that place. It's like something's trying to knock you down, but you're like, no, 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 no. You've got to let this full moon illuminate. How interesting. I clarified, you got the Six of Pentacles. All right. So very nice. With the Six of Pentacles, when you think of, again, about the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, we consider him like the young Hierophant, right? But speaking of Mars and Libra, it's the one where he's holding the scale, and he's only one of two people. He's one of two people where you do see that scale, but there's that call to that balance, that with the Temperance card as well, right? So really, it's really up to you. There is, again, something that you may have to face, that this full moon might test your self-worth, the things that you value. Are you ready to give this up? Are you ready to give this up for something else that's changing in your world? Let's think about it. Let's talk about it, mostly, that, with what's happening for you. But I love that Six of Pentacles. That six is, everything's harmonizing for you. You see that once you have those moments, you're in this great place. This is a card of support, all right? And it could be you. It could be you being in a place where, okay, now I'm going to be in a place where, yes, I trust this person, or this feels good to me. And now there's this beautiful flow exchange between us, but it takes inspired action. All right. It's that, whoa, I went deep with Capricorn. I was like in the zone. Capricorn, you got that? Is any Capricorn here? Yeah. Marshall, good to see you. You got that message? You're gonna have some things. All right, you see that. Okay, good. All right. Is there anything that you wanted to add to that, SJ?
Yeah, just to throw in, I mean, that moon card is, I think, important there,
Yep.
given that it corresponds to Pisces and a lot of correspondence systems. And then you have the two ruling planets of Pisces, we know, are Venus by exaltation and Jupiter by domicile. So that is in the 7th house for you, Capricorn. I just think this could be a great moment for partnership and even close family partnership. Like that is a primary theme here for who are you intimate with in your close circle, and how are you supported by, and nurtured by those that are close to you. So keep that in mind. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that it is just everyone's going through change. Everyone is going through change. And so it's really a matter of embracing and not resisting. Especially, again, with this full moon, it's such a big full moon, like the weekend. See what comes up. And there may be some things that are, I mean, we're gonna move into eclipse season. Eclipses are all about change anyway. So I really want you to take this time, really, really working with these energies. And I think SJ gave such great insight and advice for every sign on, what to expect around this time. And of course, we'll talk about it more in your weekly forecast too. I'm going to start that today. I'm 3 days late. I should have started it 3 days ago. But does anybody have any questions for SJ? Did we, a lot of people are joining now. Yes. Sagittarius. So that's the thing. So after this, and I'll make it live. But if anyone had any questions, I don't know if there's anything. I think that's actually maybe a question that I can't even see. So I'm still working on my computer's broken, so I have to use this laptop. I gotta look at you up here, but Moonlit Linus, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super sticker. CC, thank you so much. Carrie, y'all are amazing. I'm just seeing all these now. Oh my goodness. That's a good. You were Virgo reading. Okay, perfect. Congratulations on your new company. That's amazing. Dream Life Manifestations. You asked, what is the best month to get married next year? I'm gonna let S.J. Anderson answer that one. But did you leave your? Well, I'm gonna work. It's gonna be okay. I'll let you go with that. I'll let you go with that.
There is custom analysis you're going to need to do, but the general principle is, when is Venus powerful? The planet of love, and Venus gets powerful, every year at a few pockets. We're in one now, Venus, Jupiter. So good news, and it's a good thing to say here. Venus and Jupiter conjoin in Cancer again next June. So, this is just one of 2 Venus Jupiter conjunctions in Cancer, and it's so optimistic that we get like 2 attempts here to get this right. That could be one month, but let me just read them. I mean, I have them right up here. Venus is in Pisces, 10 February to 6 March. So there's a strong exalted Venus. Venus is in Taurus, 30 March to 24 April. That's often common what you see with marriages in the spring. So that this year, Venus is in Taurus, 30 March, 24 April. That would be a candidate, in my view, that pocket. So basically April, if you want to pick a month. And then you'll have Venus in Libra, 6 August to 10 September in 2026. My just sense, without even getting too deep into it, is that I think that April is going to be a good opportunity to capture that powerful Venus in Taurus.
Nice. I love these. Marshall asks, that's a good, and it's funny that that question came up because I remember someone saying yesterday that they keep seeing all these photos of people getting married like the past 2 days, and they're like, why would anyone get married during like 5 retrogrades like in this time? I thought it was funny. I mean, like, you do like, but we're here to advise you, right? We're here to advise you. Marshall, you asked, how long will these intense interactions go on? SJ, you got the floor.
I mean, there's one way to look at it. Life is kind of always intense, and I would kind of rephrase the question as like, when are there pockets of kind of rest and calm? And because there's often just a lot of intensity in general, and we know, like I said, life is an intent. You wake up, you're born, and you come out screaming and crying. I mean, this is an intense, thing we've incarnated into. But my short answer on that is going to be right after this full moon. Mercury stations direct on the 11th. Venus conjoins Jupiter on the 12th. And then there's these moons that Jimmy alluded to one earlier, but there's a Taurus moon and a Cancer moon that have really nice aspects to Venus and Jupiter. So I would just say second half of August is the next pocket that hopefully there's some calming energy here. And then of course we get the eclipse season intensities in September, but that local second half of August is one to really lean into.
Yeah, I think that it's almost, and it's, I feel like there's, well, yeah, the listen, like from the and I remember the retrogrades from the beginning of this year, everyone. It wasn't just Mars, it was Mercury, it was Venus. We had back-to-back retrogrades, we had double retrogrades, we had a lot. So just moving from that energy into a lot, every outer planet changing signs, just we really hit a lot of, so it's just like night and day is what we're experiencing, so it could feel a little bit more intense. I think that there's different, intensity comes in so many different forms, but I'll talk about it in your weekly forecast or even in a live stream. But you're that's why I'm saying just ride the wave, always like be on top, like use these aspects for you. Is there any I think, I don't know, I think that's it.
Just to say one other thing is that October, so I had to follow up on that. Saturn comes back to Pisces. We're back to the earlier world, right? We've been in the birth of a new world this summer, but we do return back to all of the old energies over the next 9 months. And so that is in some sense telling us, hey, if it's been really intense this summer, we get to go back here a little bit. And then next year, it all returns, all this new stuff. So there's 2 grand water trines in October and November that I think will be really supportive of settling emotionally. And that will be Jupiter in Cancer, Saturn in Pisces, Mars in Scorpio, and then the Sun in Scorpio. So it's post-eclipse season goodness. October and November is another kind of medium-term view of when it gets a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think that what we talked about, the Venus Jupiter conjunction and how you mentioned it, for next year too, but it really is something it is really special. So again, it's almost like there's in a sense, like with the Venus squares starting this weekend, and then you've got Mars moving into Libra, and then you've got Mars opposite Saturn. I feel like there's a sense of like, there's a couple little squeezes to get there, but you're going to get there. And it has a good shelf life. So there really is, it's just something you can't exaggerate with Venus conjuncting Jupiter in Cancer. Like at the time it is, I always talk about divine timing and what it means for every sign. So it is really nice. And I'm gonna speak more about it in your weekly forecast, that I should really start today. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to miss another week. And that's and I think I know that a lot of y'all weren't here yesterday, but yesterday I said that since I launched my channel, this is the first week that I wasn't able to do your forecast because of how bonkers this month has been. And I'm like, you know about it. So I'm really excited to get back to your forecast, and I really want to make sure that I want to, be there for you. So if there's nothing else, SJ, thank you so much for joining me again. And I feel like this was really insightful. I'm excited to post this, and I thought that was really fun. And thank you for spending time with us and this amazing community. I love I'm seeing their comments.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jimmy. So much honor to be with you and a great privilege to be with you. And I just love the tarot and astrology combination and the back and forth. So really, really lovely.
Yeah. Hopefully we can do this again. Everyone, SJ is, and I'll leave a link to, he did a great, very comprehensive live stream on your rising sign. So I'll leave that link on, what it means, what it represents, why you should be reading for your rising as well. And he does private readings. I always encourage people to get, your birth chart read. It opens you get a lot more clarity on reading, even like forecasts, right, that come out. But I will have again, I think I mentioned when Great Awakener launches, and that will be in 2 weeks, y'all. I'm excited to walk you through it. We'll do some birth chart readings there. Yeah. We got you. But in the meantime, SJ is available for readings, and you probably recognize SJ. He's so great, and you'll see him on other channels as a guest. He's high in demand. We're so glad to have him. And I love SJ because he knows tarot as well. So everything's just, it's a way for him to connect with that as well. So SJ, really great having you on the show. Thank you again so much. And breaking down, demystifying everything that's going to be happening for, the next few weeks. And hopefully we get to see you again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love being with you, and everybody out there. Have a great August, and, stay strong, stay spiritually centered and strong. And we're going to get through this. So.
Yeah, we will. And you can also, SJ is on Instagram and YouTube. You can follow him there, and I'll leave those tags as well. But yeah, SJ, thank you so much. And really, really, again, very grateful to have you for this special live stream, y'all. And everyone else, I might do another live stream for this weekend, but if not, because I still got to do your forecast, I will 1000% have your forecast next week, and it will be the week of Venus conjuncting Jupiter, which is amazing in Cancer. So everyone, enjoy your Thursday, enjoy your Mercury Cazimi today. And then, this is going to be a big August. So remember, work with these energies. You're going to be fine. Okay. Always high frequency. Okay. Stay frosty. Be cool, especially in the heat wave. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next time. All right. Thanks so much, y'all. Bye-bye.